Good afternoon, everyone. Today is July 18th, 2017. We're here at 5:30 in the afternoon for our public board meeting. As a reminder to all, please remember to silence your phone. Thank you. As always, we proceed in our agenda beginning, starting with an invocation. It will be done tonight by Pastor Rick Fichter from Connecticut Church. Connection Church. Thank you for. Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Ms. Nia Campbell. She is our new principal at Osceola High School. Mission statement will be read by Ms. Diane Nichols, principal at Michigan Avenue Elementary. Translation services will be provided by Belinda Reyes, the executive director for Multicultural Department, and her staff. At this time, I would please invite everyone to stand. And Pastor Fichter, please approach the podium and lead us in the invocation.
Let's pray together. Lord, we want to stop in our day, and we want to acknowledge you as the Lord. And we thank you, God, for all the blessings that you give us, for the rain that we have, for the health that we have to be here tonight. We thank you, Lord, for the school district, and we want to pray, Lord, for all the kids and their families, Lord, that your protection would rest upon this community. We pray for each of the teachers. We pray that you'd refresh them on summer, and we pray tonight for every issue that's here to be discussed, Lord. We call upon you for wisdom. Pray for all the board members and administration that decisions that need to be made, we would see through your eyes. And when there are difficult and contentious issues, that we would hear you for the best path forward, Lord. And we thank you for loving us. We thank you for the gospel. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
mission statement. Oh, there's just
Good evening.
Good evening.
Our mission statement is inspiring all learners to reach their highest potential as responsible, productive citizens.
Thank you. Translation. Translation services. I don't know. Okay. I'll do the translations this evening. Yo hablo español. Hoy vamos ahora a proseguir con comentarios de nuestro miembro de la Junta Escolar, Jay Wheeler. See if you got it.
Okay, thank you. I don't speak Spanish.
Sí, Jay, sí.
This is where we do positive comments from board members about things. First, I need to apologize to some schools. I didn't get a chance to call them, so because I didn't get a chance to call them, I'm going to go through some information right now that's very important that we can all be proud of. School letter grades came out recently. First off, the district went from a C to a B to the entire leadership team here. Thank you. Next year, let's make it a B to an A, please. We appreciate your efforts, and we're moving in the right direction. And first off, schools that maintain an A. Harmony Community School, Celebration K-8 School, St. Cloud Middle School, Lakeview Elementary School, the Professional and Technical High School, Osceola County School for the Arts. Schools that went from a C to an A, Neptune Elementary School. Schools that went from a B to an A, Narcousie Middle School and Kissimmee Elementary School. Schools that went from a C to a B this past year, St. Cloud High School, Michigan Avenue Elementary School, Westside K-8 School, Harmony High School, and Mill Creek Elementary School. Charter schools that improved. Avant-Garde Academy K-8 went from an F to a C. New Dimensions remained an A for I don't know how many years in a row. Kissimmee Charter went from a C to a B. PM Wells Charter went from a D to a B. And Canoe Creek Charter went from D to a B. And this is outstanding, and I appreciate everybody and all of your efforts to this. This is not an easy feat. So now, and I've got one more thing I want to recognize. It's funny, we, as a board, we took it upon ourselves this past year that when we've got a graduate that goes into the military, we provide letters to that young man or that young lady because it's a brave and a courageous choice. And Mr. Thacker was there signing his letters earlier that we all take part in. But I want to recognize 3 students in particular who I just happen to know very well. And we've got, I'm sure, hundreds of students in the district. And I, like I said, I know these students really, really well. The first one I met tutoring at Celebration High School in Avid, must be 6, 7 years ago. His name is Max Weber. Max graduated Celebration High School, I want to say maybe 2012. He is a recent graduate of University of North Florida, and he right now is an officer candidate school, officer training for the Marines. And Max is a great young man. He'll make a great Marine. He wants to be a pilot. He's 6'5". He might be too tall to be a pilot, but great young man, and I'm very proud of him. The next one is a young lady who just graduated Celebration High School this year. She, brilliant young lady, amazing athlete. Her name is Charlotte Spencer. Charlotte's going to West Point. Charlotte is, she can come off intimidating to her classmates. She's a sweet kid, super smart, driven like you can't believe, and I'm so proud of Charlotte. And finally, Chandler Cunningham. Chandler has graduated this year, and Chandler is going to the United States Air Force Academy. And to all of our students who are either military officers or going into the military, I want to say to everybody, and to the veterans here also who made that choice, it's a very courageous and bold choice, not just to serve your country, but to serve your country under the premise that you will most likely be in harm's way, and you're going to be fighting for the freedoms that we take for granted. So, again, I'm just taking it as a moment of pride because I know these young people very well, and I'm thrilled about them, and they'll do a great job. So I just wanted to recognize them, and I appreciate the indulgence. And again, thank you for all the schools that improved, but I wanted to recognize these young people also. Mr. Chairman, that's all I've got.
Well spoken, Mr. Wheeler.
I just want to congratulate Dr. Pace and our whole leadership team. Outstanding job going from a C to a B. And not only did we go from a C to a B, if you look at all the state districts and all the counties, we had some of the highest gains of any county in any district in the state. So congratulations. We have a school board that functions at a really high level, and we've got a leadership team that takes this school board priorities and gets results. So thank you guys, and I appreciate it.
I'll take my turn at this time. I can't, it's hard to express in words just the pride that you feel when we see our kids accomplish things. And when, our school district went from a C to a B, I've always felt that this is a B or A school. Now the grades are getting closer to what we really are and what we really perform in terms of keeping our kids safe and making sure that they learn. It's not where we're going to end up. We're going to end up in A school within the next few years. I'm certain of that. I'm not going to make a prediction, but, you all could wait for it.
I am. I will.
Well, you know how they always change the goalposts, but, But if things stays the way they are, our progression definitely will lead us there. And, again, congratulations to the staff, to the superintendent, the staff, parents, and, of course, the students who actually did the work. Mr. Weissire.
I'm good.
No? Superintendent?
I would just say thank you, Board, for your positive comments and certainly for your recognition of our schools in our district that have improved. It obviously takes the hard work of each and every one of the people in this room, as well as who are out there in our schools, our principals, our assistant principals, our staff, our teachers, our students, our parents, and this community, which has really rallied behind the work of the school district. So I would like to say a huge thank you to our Board for your leadership, as well as to our community and everybody working so hard to reach those goals.
Thank you, Dr. Pace. All right. So, next on our agenda, we're going to do presentations. We only have one today, but it is a very special one. Mr. Jay Wheeler, would you approach the podium?
Sure. I got a friend I'm going to invite to join me, please. Ken. I've been on the school board since 2002, long time. And I've known Ken Smith since before I got on the school board. And I'm going to give everybody a little history lesson in Ken, and I don't have anything written down. For those who don't know, Ken is from Chipley, Florida. He is a diehard Florida State football fan. We all know. Okay, you got that out of the way.
Way to ruin it right off the bat.
I love you, Mr. Smith.
Ken was a teacher at Osceola High School, got into the real estate business, became mayor of Kissimmee, was a county commissioner, but in my opinion, since I've been here, the most important work that Ken has done was he was among the driving, leading, and founding forces of the Osceola Foundation for Education, touching hundreds, thousands of students, helping them get scholarships. Ken is retiring. Ken told me tonight when he came in here, he says, "You don't have to do this." I said, "No, I do have to do this." Ken has given so much to this community, so much to our kids. And, you know, I did, and Dr. Pace has, and we celebrated tonight our results. Well, a lot of the results we've gotten, we wouldn't get without the inspiration and the leadership of Ken Smith. So, you know, words don't do enough, and a plaque doesn't do enough. But I've got a plaque for you, and I want to recognize you. It says here, the Osceola County School Board proudly honors and acknowledges Ken Smith for his outstanding leadership, dedication, and service to the Education Foundation of Osceola County over the past 23 years. His legacy of doing what is in the best interest of children and his numerous contributions to the district will positively affect Osceola students and educators for years to come. And given this 18th day of July 2017, it's not a lot, but I felt like we had to do something. We appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you. Thank you. Please say it. Ken is never a loss for words.
Jay, thank you, and board members, Dr. Pace, and your staff. Frankly, words fail me right now. Probably not a lot of you know. I only came to Osceola County. I was only going to be here 2 years. And that's been 52 or 3 years. I came here, I was going to go back to seminary and become a Methodist preacher. Thank God that didn't happen, but I think I did find my pulpit here in Osceola County. If not that, certainly my home. I used to go back to, I was born in Chipley, but I was raised in a little community north of here called Zellwood. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that. But anyway, I used to go home and visit my mother and father, and invariably when I got ready to leave, my mother would say, "What's your hurry? Why are you leaving?" And I would say, "Well, Mom, I have to go home." And she would always say, "Son, you are home." But Osceola County is my home. And I met my beautiful bride, Jennifer. We've been married now 43 years, babe. I should say 43 wonderful years. That's what I should say. I've been blessed beyond measure. God has been so good to me and to Jennifer and my family. I've had the opportunity to do some good things, I hope. Certainly being a school teacher, I had some wonderful young people. Deanne James, Kay Thacker, even though Clarence Thacker.
She said wonderful still. That included me. I was looking right at you. We certainly need to talk.
Well, I did find out later that his wife, Jo, helped him get through my American history class.
I can get through that.
But I really had. That 13 years teaching at Osceola High School was some of the best years of my life. I was so fortunate to have such wonderful young people. Today, I look around this county, and they're all responsible, wonderful people, family people, business people. Sheriff Bob Hansel was a student of mine. As I said, Clarence Thacker, his wife Jo, she was a county attorney when I was on the county commission. I look at this sweet thing sitting on the front row. I've known Deanna since she was born. I think I'm her only uncle. She still calls me Uncle Ken, and I love her for it. I appreciate her so much. So anyway, I've had a lot of wonderful things. This community, the people of this community have took me into their hearts. Many of them, it was almost like family to me. And it's been so good to me. And like I said, God has blessed me beyond measure. I couldn't have wished for a better life, for a better community to grow up in. The many things that I've been blessed with, and being president of the Osceola County Education Foundation. I mean, we really started with nothing, and today we just a few figures. I think our first budget was like $30,000. Our current budget is going to be over $1 million, about $1.5 million. We've given scholarships to about 3,800 of our Osceola County students, and it's just been a wonderful ride. We've come a long way, and I want to thank the school board and the staff. You know, I didn't know you guys were so smart. But when you hired Dr. Pace, you absolutely hit a home run.
Yes,
And
we did.
yes, I think we're going to reap the benefits of that and her leadership for years to come. And I want to say, too, I want to recognize a couple of people. Our new president for the Osceola Education Foundation is going to be my good friend, Fred Hawkins. And I know that we're going to see great things from him to come in the future. We also, our new executive director, Carrie Avery, is going to be our new executive director. So the future is bright. It's bright for our young people here. Folks, don't ever get caught up in the budgets and the bureaucracy. It's all about our kids. And we need to support our teachers and our administrator and our school board and our staff, because our kids are our future. And if you don't believe it, you just talk to Deanna and Deanne and Kay and Clarence and anybody else that I had in class that might be here tonight. I'm telling you, when I think about 50 years ago and then who they are today, they were our future back then, and you can see what they've done in our community and what a great thing that has been accomplished through them. So thank you all for this. I really do appreciate it. It wasn't necessary, but I want you to know Jennifer and I both appreciate it, and it will be, Jay, it's not just another plaque. I'll assure you of that. Thank you all so much. Thank all of y'all for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Count. Whoa. You're not getting out of this that
I'm gonna do good sideways. It's better. We're better in the back.
Ricky just wants to do it because he's a gator.
Yeah. We get a Seminole and a Gator stand. That's unusual. Okay. Thank you. Thank you again, Dr. Pace. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you again.
Thanks again. Hey, you're welcome to stay.
Are we dismissed?
It's all good. It's all good. Fred, we expect big things from you, man. Big things from you, Fred.
Hey, Mr. Smith, Mr. Smith, Mr. Hawk, Jennifer, can y'all wait just a second? I didn't realize you were stepping out so quick. First off, I want to set the record straight. He did not teach me 50 years ago.
It was 60.
It was more like 40, but it was not 50.
And Clarence can do math. That's good.
And secondly, when we're all in school and go through school at different times in our life, we have role models and we have people that do things that we always look at and we admire, and you aspire to be that type of person. He did teach me in history, which was probably a struggle for Mr. Smith. But he was a role model then, and he's one of those few role models through the 56 years that I have known Mr. Smith that I've never looked at him once and said, I wonder why he's my role model. I've always known why. He's always been an inspiration. Probably would not have run for office were it not for some of his leadership and tutelage along the way. So I thank you very much from my heart for everything you've done for me.
Thank you, Clint.
Well done, Jay. Oh, this is a blue sheet. Okay. Dr. Pace, any appointments or transfers?
Yes, sir. I am very excited, school board members and audience, to bring forward our final school recommendations for administrators for the school year. At least we're hoping that we're all settled and stable now. As a result of some promotions, we had some new opportunities and found just outstanding candidates, board, to help lead our schools into the future. I'd like to start by inviting Mr. George Arscott to the podium. As Mr. Arscott approaches the podium, I'd like to inform the board I'm recommending him to be an assistant principal at Liberty High School. Throughout his career, Mr. Arscott has held the following positions: teacher at Oak Ridge High in Orlando, teacher and dean of students at Crystal River High, and dean of students at Lake Nona High currently. He received his bachelor's degree in mentally handicapped varying exceptionalities from the University of Central Florida and a master's degree in educational leadership from National Louis University. And I know that he's going to be an outstanding addition to Mr. Pricer's team, board, with your approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, so we got a motion to approve by Mr. Booth.
Discussion.
Second by Mr. Wheeler with discussion.
I hope you're a better assistant principal than girls softball coach.
I'll try to be.
I've known George for a little while. We got to coach. I've had the opportunity to coach his daughter Lauren, and we had some good times coaching girls softball. And I know he's wanted to get down here in Osceola County for a while now, and we're certainly glad to have you. So welcome to the
A little
team.
more discussion. Is Mr. Booth a good coach?
No, we were both terrible. I'll answer that question.
There's a lot of effort in.
Yeah.
See, I listen to you, Ricky.
Anything further, board? All right, so that we have a motion pending. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, none. Vote passes 5-0. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
You may speak a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Pace. Thank you, board. I'm excited to come to Osceola County. I brought a couple people with me I'd like to introduce. My wonderful, supportive wife, Blythe, who's always supported me through this process, this journey. My daughter, Lauren, who's going to be a 6th grader at Neptune Middle School. My daughter, Samantha, who's going to be a 4th grader at St. Cloud Elementary. My mother, Mary, and my brother, Patrick. I always appreciate my family. I have a big family, and they're always super supportive and excited about the next step in the process. So.
Right on.
And Mr. Pricer, of course, would have been here, but he had meet the principal night, so his assistant principals are here to welcome Mr. Arscott to the team.
Great.
All right.
Congratulations.
I'd like to invite Mr. Justin Baylor to the podium, please. As Mr. Baylor approaches the podium, board, I'll be recommending him to fill the assistant principal position at Michigan Avenue Elementary. Throughout his career, he's held the following positions: teacher at Hambright Elementary School in Pennsylvania, teacher at King's Crossing Elementary in Orlando, teacher at Ridgewood Park in Orlando, and teacher at Westside K-8. Also Dean of Students at Westside K-8 currently, with some other positions in the middle. He received his bachelor's degree in elementary ed from Millersville University in Pennsylvania and holds a master's degree in educational administration from Lamar University in Texas. And I know that Mrs. Nichols is here and would be excited, board, with your approval, to welcome him to the team.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, so motion to approve by Mr. Wheeler, second by Mr. Thacker. Any discussion, board? I heard it. You don't have any discussion? All right, so we have a
I'm second, but whatever. No, I'm just
Can't let you hog them all, man.
welcome.
All right. So anyways, we have a motion pending. Board, how do you vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Please aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Vote passes 5-0. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I'd like to thank Dr. Pace, the district leadership team, and school board for this opportunity. I'm eager to serve the students, faculty, and families of Michigan Avenue and Osceola County Schools. Thanks to Nadia Winston, principal Westside K-8, and her team for the great support and guidance over the past several years. And thanks to my family and friends who are not in state right now, but they are watching live and recording. So I appreciate their support and love. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Good luck, Logan.
Congratulations.
I'll also be recommending Mr. Mark Hernandez, Assistant Principal at Parkway Middle School. He's not able to be with us tonight, but will be relocating this weekend to move to our area from Texas. He's held the following positions: a teacher at International High School in Texas, and Assistant Principal at the Liberal Arts and Science Academy in Texas. He received his bachelor's degree in History and Applied Movement Science from the University of Texas and a master's degree in Educational Leadership from Texas State University. And I can assure the board that he is eager to begin with your approval.
Motion approved.
Second.
I've got a motion to approve by Mr. Weider, second by Mr. Weissier. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, vote passes 5-0. Congratulations.
And now I'd like to invite Ms. Yvette Rivera to the podium. Board, I'll be recommending Ms. Rivera as an assistant principal at Osceola High School. She's held the following positions: teacher at Freeman High School in Virginia, IB teacher at Celebration High School, an instructional coach, an international baccalaureate and world languages district coordinator for Orange County Public Schools, an instructional framework coach here in our district in professional development. She received her bachelor's degree in public administration from Roosevelt University, a Juris Doctor degree from John Marshall Law School, completed the teacher certification program at Virginia Commonwealth University, and holds a master's degree in educational leadership. And I am confident that she will be a true asset to the Cowboy team.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Mr. Booth, second by Mr. Thacker. Board, any discussion? But no comments on her being a lawyer? Come on, guys. Am I the only one that gets that
No
treatment?
other comments are needed.
Okay. Good. I'm glad that you see that.
That's right.
Respect the JD. All right. We have a vote pending. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Vote passes 5-0. Congratulations.
Good luck to you.
It is such a pleasure to be up here and to be part of this legacy that was introduced by Mr. Smith earlier. Thank you to the board. I'm very grateful. Thank you, Dr. Pace, Dr. Fritz, Dr. Reinhardt, Dr. Campbell. I'm extremely grateful for this opportunity to serve this district and the children of Osceola High School. Today, with me are my mom, who herself is a retired school administrator, so I know this is a proud moment for her, and I am so happy that she gets to share this with us. My brother, friends, mentors, my tribe, who without them, this wouldn't be possible. It is because of the people that support you that you make it to certain accomplishments, and that's what I want to do for the students of this district. I want to be part of their support system. I want to see their success. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Good luck. Congratulations.
Chairman Senator, if you don't mind, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Mr. David Phelps. He is our new principal for the new high school that will be opening in the fall of 2018. He's relocated from Oregon. I know that you've had an opportunity to meet with him individually, but I did want to introduce him to the rest of the staff, as he wasn't able to join us when we first appointed him a little bit ago. But we're excited to welcome him to the team. He has hit the ground running. So thank you, Mr. Phelps.
Chairman. Mr. Weider? Mr. Phelps, I enjoyed our meeting, and I think that you complement the other leadership hires Dr. Pace has made. So we expect big things from you, and we think, I know you're up to it, and we're excited for you to be here and run a great school. So welcome. We're glad you're here.
Welcome. All right, so, Dr. Pace?
That's all, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. Next on our agenda is our public comment. We have two from the people that submitted these yellow forms. I will call them up. You have 3 minutes to, when I call your name, please approach the podium, announce your name and, your address into the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak your comment. Melody Johnson. Welcome, Ms. Johnson.
My name is Melody Johnson. My address is 1114 West Seagate Drive, Deltona, Florida. I am the Volusia County School Board Chair, and I am here today to encourage you as we have an opportunity to positively impact every public school student in Florida, as well as our teachers, districts, and staff. Currently, over 80% of Florida students are being stolen from through the end districts is this formula called the DCD. The state is failing our students, and just like corporate welfare, we now have educational welfare. 55 counties are supporting 12. From school year 04 to 2018, Volusia has lost $140 million. Osceola has lost $49 million. Every dollar that leaves Osceola, 98 cents comes back. Volusia gets 96 cents. In 2016, Representative Metz and Huckel, companion bills, wanted to delete the DCD. It failed. And they also had a bill to do a study. But if you talk to good attorneys, I just heard there was one here, they'll say they want to know the outcome before you do a study, and studies can be manipulated. So now I am doing a grassroots movement, and I'm asking you to join me in rising up with 54 other counties that began just over a week ago. You're the third county I've visited. And I want us to stand for our students. We just want to send our dollar and get our dollar back. They're taking it out of our county and supporting other counties from our taxpayers. I cannot do this alone, so I'm creating a gathering, a group of leaders that are just as passionate as we all are. I'm fully committed to altering our children's destiny. I'm asking that each of you go to your city commissions, your county legislators, your business groups, your realtors associations, your chambers of commerces, your PTAs, anybody you think is passionate about public school education and cares about our children as much as we all do, or we wouldn't be board members. I'm on fire to change this. We're already writing up I've given you a possible legislative action. If the legislators will just decide that they'll eliminate this, then we're done. If not, I want to take it to the people to vote. I want a constitutional amendment. I'm doing a hashtag DCD theft. And we deserve every dollar that we send up, and our children should be held harmless, not by an obscure formula that came about in 2004 that even Dr. David Denslow from University of Florida helped do this formula. He's even said it's harming more than it's helping. But I just thank you for your time tonight. I've given you my card, my information. I've put our attorney's information on there. This is not small, because in over a week and a half, I've already touched thousands by just coming to board meetings and starting the conversation that nobody's alone.
Just have a few
Thank you.
questions. Board before. How many counties have a differential above the value of 1?
12. The list I gave you, which is the most upsetting, it's like a reverse Robin Hood, I've decided. You're you're taking from the average to the poor, lower income counties, and you're giving it to the wealthy counties. But Miami-Dane's made almost $500 million from my 4 cents as a portion in yours. Broward's made almost $500,000. Hillsboro's made $120 million. $500 million, sorry, not $500,000. These numbers are big. Palm Beach. I think that something that's held us back, I was just asked by a news outlet, something that's kind of held us back is that we thought we were kind of alone and we've just given up because it just isn't going away. But if 55 counties would rise up, I think we have a chance. And I'm just willing to travel and do it.
And my last question is,
Sure.
I mean, I see a bullet point here that there was legislation filed.
There was.
Okay. And it didn't get out of committee? Is that what?
Well, no, there was 2 companion bills, but it was vetoed with all the big stuff, the hubbubaloo. And then what was also vetoed is our Senator Huckel had asked for $100,000 for a study. But the more we've thought about that, study was chosen in 2004 that hurt us. So we're not sure a study is the answer anymore. We think the people need to know what's being done to their tax dollars.
Okay, well said. Mr. Booth?
Chairman Johnson, I want to thank you for coming over from Deltona. I certainly know Volusia County fairly well, know some folks over there, get to spend some time over there. But I want to thank you again for coming. I'd say board with anything as we approach it. Those of us that, and I'm sure you do too, we understand the process of working something through the legislature is not a cut and dry process. You understand that. So my advice would be that we kind of reach out to our legislative team, see how we feel about it as a board, and then move forward. Feel like if we want to move forward, that see what the right approach would be. I certainly am inclined to agree with you that I don't want Osceola County dollars going somewhere else. And I know about this DCD. I understand it, and I know it hurts Osceola County.
It does. It hurts our students, our classrooms, our raises for our teachers, hiring the best. And Bryce, one of the representatives told me that legislators don't like to lose control. So they're going to want to do something by January, or it's going to go to the people. And if 83% of the people in Florida realize that their dollars are being taken to other counties, they might be a little upset.
Mr. Wheeler?
First off, I've been on the board since 2002. You are the first school board member from another county that's ever come here, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I've done it with some other counties before, and they kind of look at me squirrely when they come, but you're welcome, and
Thank you.
anytime. So, maybe because it was me. I guess what I'm trying to figure out is what number one, do you know the numbers it's going to take to get an amendment on the ballot? That's the first thing. And are we looking to get it on, I imagine, an 18 ballot?
Well, I would prefer that the legislators realize the
They're not
nonsense
going
of this.
to. It's not going to happen.
And putting some pressure from public, that's why we're talking commercials. We're talking, I mean, I've got some people behind me in Volusia County because we are harmed the most.
But you also got to take into account, and I appreciate the effort, but Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach County on their own can control the legislature.
I know.
And the people in Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach County, if they know it's benefiting them, they're not inclined to do anything to make a change. And then to your point, Hillsborough is also on the plus side, so you've got
Some big
four
counties.
of the most populated counties in the state who, I mean, it's kind of like the 800-pound gorilla in the room. So I think the best way really to accomplish this, to your initial point, is to get something on the ballot that people can vote for, and then we get our people out to vote.
Yes.
So again, I've got your contact information. I will be in touch with you. I appreciate I appreciate you coming. I appreciate the passion. But again, I think it comes down to I've won a lot of elections. I've also taken on some things that were unpopular, I'll admit, but I don't like to fight losing battles. And so I'm looking at, to accomplish what we need to do, I mean, you take into account what you're talking about, that doesn't even take into account House Bill 7069, where the charters are getting our money now, too. And a lot of people have learned to play the legislative lobbying contribution game well. I mean, school districts aren't going to contribute to legislators. It just isn't going to happen where a charter company can. So let's back this out. In my opinion, you want to win, okay? And I don't like the idea of jumping up and down, stamping my feet, and sitting in the corner until I turn blue saying I'm going to do something, wait for that. So the question then goes, I don't know the answer, but I want to know, what do we need to do to get something on the ballot? How many signatures do we need? How much money do we need to raise to get those signatures? When will it be on the ballot? And is it a simple majority, or do we need a supermajority to win? And I don't know the answers to those questions. And I don't know, it might be in your document. I don't know that it is or isn't.
It's not.
Okay, so I've got your contact information.
This just started a week and a half ago.
Okay, and I appreciate it, and you're, as the chairman of Volusia County School Board, obviously you got a little pop in your bat too. I mean, you're not just, you're not somebody who's just coming up. So I will send you an email with some very specifics. I'm on board, I get it, but again, going to the legislators and saying, you got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, a lot of them will say yes, and then they won't do it, or yes, and then they'll do something different. So I think that it comes down to kind of like class size amendment. It got done by voters. If we want to get something done, I think we've got to do it with voters.
Absolutely.
That's
I'm
my,
for that. I'm just tired of rolling over and accepting that this is just the way it is.
It's not a question of rolling over and accepting as much as deciding, okay, you want to win. How do we win?
That's right.
What is the path to
And
victory?
that's why there's a team being developed.
Right.
and
Well,
the
this
path
team, we need to
to
develop a
things.
petition people can sign to
Sure.
get it on the ballot and figure out the language on the ballot.
Absolutely.
That's simple enough for people to
And
vote
we've
on.
included some language for an amendment.
Okay.
Hold our children harmless.
Thank you. I am going to yield the floor. Thank you.
Mr. Thacker?
Melanie, thank you for coming here and bringing this up. This has been an item that I've been fighting with over since I got on this board is the differential and the way it's calculated. And a simple look here is the difference between Osceola and Orange is a 83 million dollars over the same time period. And I will say that I'm not a big fan of constitutional amendments, period. I'd rather this be corrected in the formula.
Me too.
The only thing, and this is based on the cost of living, I'm pretty sure a loaf of bread in Orange County costs the same as it does here. Gas is the same. Most everything is the same. Clothes are the same. What's not the same are housing. And where it gets driven up, this is where I think the fallacy in the formula is. It's the very high-end houses that are raising the value in the formula. And my contention is it's those very high-end houses should not even be in the formula. It should be the houses that are in the areas that people who work in school districts live in.
Yes.
So the fact that Orange County's got 1,000 homes over $2+ million, that drives us up. Well, it doesn't matter what we pay teachers, odds are they're not buying those houses. Right. So it's distorting the formula. And if you go down this list and you look where the money's going, it's going to places on the coast in Orange County where they have extreme high-end values. So I applaud what you're doing. I wish you all the success in the world. I would still rather continue to fight it legislatively. I just don't think it's a constitution. It's an item.
That's my first goal, is legislatively.
But I think
I'm a realist as well. They haven't changed
I think
it.
fixing the formula to make something that's a little more meaningful. Jay is absolutely right. The problem is you got a huge chunk of the population. So I applaud you. I'm in to help if there's a way we can do it. And it's a huge problem when you, like say, just look, we're competing for students with Orange, and they're getting an extra $80-something million. So
I agree. Thank you.
Mr. Weisslein.
Thank you. Melody, thank you for being here. As the other school board member said, I also genuinely appreciate your willingness to travel down and to communicate with our peers across the state, and specifically to come to Osceola County and to have a conversation with us about where collaboration can really help all of us for what it is we're trying to achieve. So sincerely, thank you. You had mentioned that Metz and Hugel's bill, the companions, actually went through committee, were passed in the respective chambers, and then were just vetoed. Are they planning, do you know, to run those bills again next session? Have they indicated?
I know that Senator Hugel represents us, and she is very willing. She is a proponent of the schools.
Okay.
I know Senator Simmons is also a proponent of the schools and voted down 70-69.
Right.
So that is my next round. I'm hitting school boards now to get the conversation started. My next round will be legislators.
Yeah.
I'm not stopping until something's done.
Sure. Well, and I asked because, and a couple of the gentlemen mentioned it, is, and you know this because of your work similar to ours, is the process is an important piece of this. And yes, the delegations are large for those that would be arguing against, if you will. But if they were successful in running these through both chambers this past session, and it was really the behemoth of 70-69 that this got caught up in, and that's why it ultimately failed, there may be a little bit more steam in the engine than we may be giving it credit to. So I'd be interested to looking through this a little bit further. I spend a lot of time working on the legislative stuff anyway in the state, so I'm intrigued by it, and I'm looking forward to work with you and understand a little bit more about it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Melody.
Yes,
Madam Chair, I sit on the State Constitutional Revision Commission.
Yes, sir.
There is a session before we deliver our final report. There are those people where we've discussed tabling certain items to see if the session deals with them, but letting everyone know that we're going to end up having to deal with this. So I would ask if you could get me whatever that amendment is. I'll make sure it's brought up, one, to the commission.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And also, Tim, I will tell you that they are bringing it back.
Good.
Because everybody got derailed by this mess this year. And it takes 60% to amend the Constitution.
Thank you. I thought it was, but I don't want to speak out of turn. I'd rather it just be dealt with.
I won't let it die at the commission
Thank you.
without a fight, but if you will, I think there's a leverage there that you really want to have the public to get into this
Yes.
type of thing. So
Thank you. Thank
Chairman
you.
Johnson, before you leave, first of all, I appreciate board's comments, and I agree. I think that what you're doing is, I'm on board. I think that this is important. It's trying to fix an inequity that impacts directly with what we're doing in our school. So to that extent, I do wish you luck. I think that some of the comments here pointed out what a steep mountain you're climbing.
It is.
I concur with my fellow board member here, Mr. Thacker, that it doesn't seem like it's an issue that should be in a constitutional amendment.
I agree.
The only problem is that we have such a disbalance in our political process through gerrymandering and a lot of things that are going on, that to get anything done, you have to circumvent and go that route.
I agree.
But it's not something that should be
It's
done.
not my first choice.
This is something that with the right kind of traction, somebody, obviously you're getting it started, and I'm really proud of how you perform and how you explain this. That it does. I disagree with Mr. Wheeler. I agree with him. Disagree with Mr. I think it can be done. I think it could be done at the legislature. It's not that difficult to understand.
No.
It's pretty easy, and this is the kind of thing that a 5-year-old would say. It's not fair.
I've kind of stopped my foot and said that.
Yeah. So this is just perfect. It's just ripe for that kind of correction.
I believe we've laid a lot of groundwork with everybody's knowledge and frustration, and I think it's just been building. It just needs collaboration.
Whatever opportunity that I see to help the cause, I will.
Go ahead.
Some more people. Mr. Weissire?
Yeah, is there a formal coalition that's already signed up? Do you have other counties that have already, other school boards have already?
No,
signed up?
this has just
100%?
started. I've started working with business community leaders, because anybody that moves into community, what do they say? How's your schools?
Sure.
So I'm a physician assistant as well, and I call this educational malpractice. I just feel like it's so wrong at so many levels. I have children in the public school system as well.
Sure, and you've visited.
But I've started the committees going, we've just started asking people that are wanting this and have the position to possibly make it happen.
Sure. What other school boards have you visited?
I visited Lake and Brevard,
Okay.
and then you.
And what was their general response?
All of them wanted to do, Lake actually wanted to do a resolution of support, so we are actually creating that. A template, and then everybody does what they want with that template if they choose to. But I don't think words anymore are working. We need action. So I love their support, and I'm excited. But like I said, I'm going to go to the city commission. I'm going to go to my own personal cities that my schools are in. I'm going to start talking just as passionately to business owners, PTAs, SACs. You get a parent on fire, you win.
What is the plan to get beyond our region here and get around the
Well, there's
state?
55 counties, so today I've spoken to 3 news outlets. I have a list of every paper and online that as well, paper and online. Orlando Sentinel's already talking to me. Lake, a subsidiary. I'm talking to media quickly. I've got attorneys, I've got legislators that are currently in office behind this.
Have you brought it up at all to our legislative committee at Florida School Boards Association?
I have not yet. We haven't even had a school board meeting since I started this.
You started within the past week, but I'm just trying to
Yeah.
track with you.
No,
That's
I
one of the
actually,
things
Ida
that-
Wright is on our school board, and she is the vice chair or the vice president. So I'm going to bring that forward to her publicly in the sunshine.
Ida's
And next Tuesday,
Ida's great.
she is. And so I'm hoping that she'll take that forward. I'm even reaching out to local colleges and universities in our community. Again, voices. People need to know what's happening.
Good. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you.
Mr. Booth?
I just want to make one quick comment, is that I do agree with Mr. Wheeler, and don't stand in the corner yelling and screaming. I can tell you, have the plan. I think that's outstanding.
I agree.
Again,
Preparation.
Board, I'd like to talk to our lobbying team before we do anything, whether it be a resolution or whether it be some kind of formal joining. But also remember, I guess a piece of advice would be, the organizations that fail time and time again are those organizations that demean those that we've elected into public office. So I think the minute you start that, you've derailed your whole initiative. So please, please, please don't do that.
I agree.
Those are the ones. Those are the lines you have to change.
You're off the track.
This happened
and it's
13
over.
years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm not blaming the currents.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, so our next public comment. And board, next on the agenda, we're going to be discussing the new high school name. Mr. Charles Tiffany is going to come up for a public comment related to that. Mr. Tiffany, you have the podium.
These people must have heard I was going to speak. I come out here, there was a lot of peoples here. They all run off. Anyway, Madam Chairman, Madam Superintendent, and board members, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kruppenbacher, did I get it right?
Got it right, sir.
Okay. And all you other people not sitting on a cushion. Anyway, I was approached a while ago by one of your members and asked to assist the board. Also, does anybody have any problem hearing me anywhere around? Good, glad to hear. Okay, I was approached by to help the board to try to pick out the name for your new high school. Luckily, he's here. Not naming after him, but I'm glad that he's here. And I don't know if you've ever asked grandparents to name their grandchildren, but you talk about a fight, the like of which you'll never see. So anyway, I got thinking, what goes on in high schools? Okay, you have physical education, mathematics, history, science, engineering, foreign languages, literature, just about everything. And it hit me like a lightning bolt. Who's the one person that I could pull out of a hat and send out to that new school, and he could teach every person, every class? He's a man we take for granted. We accuse him of being an old white man, I guess. But in reality, he founded the precursor to the NAACP. This man. The first time in America somebody publicly stood up for black folks and slaves. He founded the very first society to abolish slavery, 1750. He was a great athlete, unbelievable athlete. In fact, believe it or not, he was the first inductee into the United States Swimming Hall of Fame. He invented so many unbelievable things that, well, first of all, he invented the lightning rod. Okay. Now, before that, all these ships would sail around, and whenever they got in bad weather, they were always terrified they'd get struck by lightning, blow the ship up. The 5 years after he patented the lightning rod, Lloyd's of London reduced their rates for insurance by 30% worldwide, which meant, in reality, there was 30% more world trade because of what he did. He was a multiculturalist. He spoke, I think, 5 different languages. He was in a world that was run by sexes. Nothing could be farther from the truth for him. He surrounded himself with beautiful, intelligent women, and he actually paid attention to what they had to say. I could go on for an hour, at least, telling you why you ought to create the Dr. Benjamin Franklin Learning Institute. The children and the young adults and the teachers that go there once a year, if he does what I think he's going to do, on the day that daylight savings ends, which, by the way, he invented, we'll hold the Benjamin Franklin Day. Everybody shows up, and for one day, everybody talks about Benjamin Franklin. And all these people that have no ties, they've come in from all over, homeless people. Think how they'll feel. Think how they'll feel. Benjamin Franklin was homeless for over a year when he left Boston. He slept in a stable and cleaned it out. He was homeless. It just goes on, and the children and the young people can learn there's somebody in this world that they can look up to. I mean, it just cries out to help people. The man, he said, whenever you think about him, you go crazy. He said the most astute thing ever said. The day after when the Constitutional Convention was over, and they were walking out, somebody said to Benjamin Franklin, Dr. Franklin, what kind of government did you give us? And he said, a republic if you can keep it. Now, what do you think goes on today? What do we have? A republic if we can keep it. And we keep trying to throw it away every 150 years, but because of things he did, he kept it together. He taught people how to compromise. It was his idea to give the little states equal vote in the Senate. If that hadn't been done, we'd have a dictatorship where the big states just ran everybody into the ground, which is what they want to do now anyway, but they're not gonna. What can you say? Imagine on your resume when you go out, they say, where'd you graduate from high school? Well, I was from Norfolk State High School. I was from Central High School. Well, I graduated from the Dr. Benjamin Franklin Learning Institute of Osceola County. And I even came up with a perfect logo for it, for the team, sports teams, because he was a great swimmer. I call it the Fighting Diplomat. Shows a picture of a guy holding a rifle in one hand and a quill pen in the other, because that's what he did. He fought with a quill pen, but he also did other things. He was the greatest talent scout America ever had. These are the people that he groomed to come to the United States during the American Revolution. The first was the Marquis de Lafayette, the 19-year-old boy general. That was that was Franklin's job. The second was, and the most important, was this crazy German guy he sent, a guy by the name of von Steuben, who trained Washington's army at Valley Forge, and when they came out there, they were the baddest soldiers on the planet. And then, of course, my favorite, he even came up with John Paul Jones, the sailor that told us, I have not yet begun to fight. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why should we pay attention to me? And I've always wondered why people do, and I found out in my life most of them don't. However, if you want to strike a blow for the future of our children around here, give them something they can hang their souls on. The Dr. Benjamin Franklin Learning Institute. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tiffany. Thank you, Mr. Charlie, can you just state your name and address for the record?
What's that, sir?
State your name and address for the record.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
What do you think there, Mr. Principal?
It's all right.
You're going to have to figure out how to say that.
2425 Lindo Drive.
Ask if anybody had any questions. I can't believe how you could.
We need your name and address for the record.
What's that, Mr. Wheeler?
Name and address for the record, Charlie.
I have no idea. Do you guys mumble up there all the time?
We need your name and address for the record.
Oh, I see.
That's why. Just if you could just say.
Oh, for my record. That's what I got over at the police
Say it
station.
into the microphone, please, Charlie.
Okay, it's Charlie Tiffany, 2425 Lindale Drive, Kissimmee. And we just you need to come by there because we just put a new kitchen in that cost me more money than my first house.
Charlie, can I invite you?
Sleeping in the oven from
Charlie,
now
can
on.
we invite you to stick around a little bit? The
Okay,
next
sure,
portion
I
of
got
our
it.
agenda is going to be
I'll be right here.
discussing this topic of
here all?
schooling. Thank you, Mr. Tiffany. Thank you. No. Do it after this. I don't want people waiting.
Move this up on the agenda, maybe in the second. Just do it up here.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. All right. That's fine. Okay.
Don't
So,
forget we do have John.
yeah, John, you're going to hold on a little bit before your portion for rules, and we're going to go ahead and discuss the school name at this time. Take advantage of this, of this opportunity and follow up on the comments from Mr. Tiffany. So, board, opening up for discussion. Hit your little buttons. We'll get going. Yes, Mr.
Oh,
Wheeler.
I'm sorry. You know, I have been an advocate since I've been on this school board to name schools after great Americans, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, et cetera. I can certainly support, I don't know about Dr., but Benjamin Franklin High School. I mean, he was a great inventor. He created the first newspaper. He was a founding father. I don't see any, I just think it'd be inspirational, and I can support it enthusiastically.
Doesn't have to be about Benjamin Franklin. Any comments on the school name? Now's the time. I believe there was something, Mr. Booth, did you have something that you share? Yes.
I did, gentlemen, per Mr. Soto, Chairman Soto's request that he wanted a little more community involvement. I reached out to the Narcoossee Historical Society, and I also, Miss Lisa Liu helped me there, and Miss Sandra Diaz from the Turnberry Homeowners Association, which is actually the neighborhood, I think that's directly adjacent to the school property. So she actually put it out to several of the homeowners associations there. Chairman Soto and I had the opportunity to speak with them about the new high school. We did not discuss the name at that time. However, they both provided me with a return email, which I have asked Ms. Culver to print, and I've given to each of you. So I just wanted to get those into the record, Tanya, and each school board member, and I believe Dr. Pace has a copy.
All right.
So these are the colors, mascot, and names submitted by those two individuals.
Or did you get copies of these documents? All right. So, all right. So on one of them, we have some names. Boggy Creek High School, East Lake High School, East Toho High School, Kissimmee Rising High School, Imagine High School, Lakeshore High School, Vision High School. Is that, you guys got that document? I think the other document also has, it's submitted with 3 suggestions, and this one, unlike the one I just used, also gives us a little bit more information. Now, Mr. Booth, this is your email. Do you want me to do the resume?
No, go ahead. This was Ms. Liu's email that she submitted from the Narcoossee Historical Society.
All right, and what are the names that are suggested?
Their top choice, and they ranked them in order. They had they kind of voted amongst themselves. At number 1, they had East Lake High School. Number 2, they had Narcoossee High School, and number 3, they had Boggy Creek High School. So those are the 3 names that the Narcoossee
That's the only one that's
community
not listed.
came up with.
Yeah, that's the only one that was not listed in this one. So
Correct.
basically, all of these names are, geographic names for the most part, except for Imagine and Vision. Am I correct about that?
Correct.
Okay.
So, and then, I guess, Mr. Soto, I did not submit this to everybody, but this was the paper, and I asked Ms. Culver to print it, was the paper that Dr. Pace sent out to us back, I believe, in late May, that had Boggy Creek High School, East Lake High School, Toho High School as the 3 top names from the poll that we did ahead of the conversation we had later in June, correct?
I can't remember this. Board, do you have a copy of that email? Yes. All right. So let's continue on discussion by Mr. Weissier.
Just a quick comment. I was contacted by someone in the community, I thought made a pretty wise recommendation, is that as we're thinking about a mascot for the school, is to not come up with something too complex that's too difficult to replicate as well as mass produce, as we're thinking about uniforms, emblems, apparel for the school and things like that. And this came from somebody within the school district who lives firsthand the importance of trying to replicate what sometimes can be a very difficult mascot. And so ideas such as, I'm not proposing a gator, but ideas such as a gator or an eagle, things like that are readily available. We don't have to pay to have custom created every time someone's going to have new.
Put it on a shirt.
So I thought it was a very, very practical and very prudent recommendation, particularly coming from somebody who has to live this every single day and making sure that we're constantly ordering apparel for students in the schools. So
that's a very good point. And then we have Mr. Booth again.
I'd like to say I did speak with a local, I guess you could call him historian. You could call him also a local curmudgeon. Nonetheless, he was adamant that if we do use the word, or we do use the lake name in the high school, that we do not use the shortened version of Toho. So if it is going to be named Tohopekalaga High School, high school, that we do not name it Toho High School. He thinks that'd be lazy, was his words, and a disgrace to the name. I mean, obviously, we know if we call it Tohopekalaga High School, that everybody's going to call it Toho High School, but that's fine. It won't say it on the building. And actually, Board, and saying that in jest, some of the comments, I actually do agree with him.
Yeah, I do as well. All right, thank you, Mr. Booth. Well, Board, look, I tend to feel around the same way as Mr. Wheeler. I think that when we look for any decision that I have to take a part in, since the day I've been elected to this board, and this will not change, I'm always thinking, how does that decision advance our vision, our strategic goals, to inspire our community, to educate our students? And I also understand from my own education the importance of symbols and names. You know that there's more than just a label. Anytime that we look for an opportunity that we can teach and learn, we should not just walk by and leave it on the side. We need to embrace it and grab it. And naming a high school, and by the way, this is the only naming of any school that I've been involved with in the past, since I've been elected in 2012. I believe that definitely fits within the definition of an opportunity to inspire, an opportunity to advance our goals and our vision, and improve education in this county. I believe that a name should inspire, and I agree with Mr. Tiffany that Benjamin Franklin is one of those founding fathers that everybody recognizes the name, but very few people really know what the man did and what he stood for. Very few. I had a similar experience. I actually knew about Lafayette. Why? Why would you know that? Well, I actually went to Lafayette Elementary. It's a school named after a great revolutionary who didn't have to be here, but did, and helped us win our freedom. So what do I feel about the suggestion of Dr. Benjamin Franklin and the Institute? I think it's too many words. But Benjamin Franklin High School, is that the kind of high school that when you graduate, would a student, no matter where they came from, let's say the student is born and raised third generation Osceola, or a student that is here because their family moved from Venezuela, what do they learn from that name? What does that mean to them? To say, you know what, this is where I got my chance, or this is where I continued learning about the traditions of the country that I've always had, or the one that I adopted. I believe that the name and what this stood for, education, science, patriotism, all of those things can come from having attended a high school and saying, I went to Benjamin Franklin High School. There's a lot of other things that go along with it, obviously, in terms of what we do in choosing a mascot and things like that. But we can do that, because why? Well, Benjamin Franklin invented so many things. I mean, he spoke 4 languages. So yes, I'm looking for inspiration in this. I'm looking for a learning opportunity. And I think that, in my opinion, with the suggestions so far, not to say anything of the others, which are very, very good school names, I think this one transcends, and it does do something different. And for that reason, I'm going to go and state that I'm in favor of that. I'm going to make a motion to adopt Benjamin Franklin High School. I could do that as a bonus.
Mr. Kreppenbacher, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I apologize, Mr. Chairman Soto. At the last meeting, you indicated that you wanted to have discussion tonight and a formal vote on August the 1st. And so that's the way the item was submitted.
Is there a reason we can't vote on it tonight?
That's Mr. Kreppenbacher's territory.
Legally, no. The answer, though, I would tell you is if you represented to the public, you were doing it a particular way. There are those members of the public who would say, wait a second, I didn't come that night because I was coming the night you were going to vote.
I don't think that that's an issue because we were making the decision. We're going to make.
And
this-
that's
and
fine,
then,
I just wanted,
And I
that's
can't
the way
be-
the item was
I think it's a very
submitted.
good point.
And I can't be here August 1st.
Yeah, we were going to, but if you're saying that we still need to do more discussion, if I'm
That's up to
giving
the
that
board.
opportunity. Mr. Thacker, I think, wanted to continue.
Well, I just, I wasn't going to comment on whether we vote tonight or not.
Okay, it was a different thing.
I was going to comment
Okay.
on the school name. That's
Continue.
okay, to make sure I'm, okay. If you look around the school district, I believe traditionally or historically, we've had maybe 3 schools named after people. Ross Jeffries, Emma Yao, Mary Bryan.
What other one? Ross Jeffries and what other one?
Emma Yao.
Which one?
It was before your time.
Oh, okay.
You weren't on the school board then, Joe.
I know Thacker Avenue, I thought that was you.
No, my last name's not Avenue, so it's named after the road. I tend to like, I don't know if traditional is really the right word, but more of the names kind of in the vein that we've used in the past, which are somewhat geographical. I think the school gets its own character by what they do and what they are, probably as much from a mascot. The thing that worries me about any name is if we named it Mother Teresa, what in the world are we going to do in 3 weeks when we find out something bad? It's there's Ben Franklins all over the country, Ben Franklin high schools all over the country that I've seen, places I've been. My preference is just more of a, say, I don't know if traditional is the right word, but more consistent with the types of names we used in the past. Just my 2 cents.
Mr. Wheeler.
First off, my second stands, Mr. Thacker, I know you're a thoughtful guy, and I appreciate the comments. Meanwhile, where I grew up, which wasn't here, obviously, there's a James Monroe High School, a James Madison High School, a Thomas Jefferson High School, there's a Benjamin Franklin High School, and, you know, public schools are public schools. I mean, you can name a school after geography, and, you know, things can or can't happen, et cetera. So I think that there is value in, you know, it's kind of like we've always done things a certain way. Well, that doesn't mean that there's not room for do other things. Like, look at Liberty, for instance. That's not named after a geographical area.
Liberty and Discovery are 2 of our main ones that are not.
So, but to your point, again, we're not talking geography. We're talking about somebody who can inspire, and also, you know, America wouldn't be America if not for Ben Franklin. So I think that, you know, it's not. He's one of many, but nobody can say that, you know. People will say no matter what you do, it's going to be. People will say it's a wrong decision, but I'll stand by my second for Mr. Soto's motion.
All right, so now we got Mr. Okay, wait, I got attorney first.
Oh, yeah, please.
Just
Yes.
on that item, your agenda actually read discussion regarding the naming, mascot, and colors for high school FFF located. It doesn't say approval of. So you would need to find cause as chair to amend the agenda to say you're now going to have it as an item you vote on. And you just put that in the record, and then you can.
Motion to amend the agenda.
All right.
After this on agenda modification.
Yeah. Yes.
Or why can't we just come up with what we believe, have a consensus, and then we actually take official vote on August 1st?
I won't be here August 1st.
No, but, I mean, we'll have a consensus, I think. I
You
mean,
could
that
do
would
it that
give one
way.
more opportunity for the public to come in and tell us how much they hate Benjamin Franklin High School, right?
How much they like it.
Well, here's the thing. No, that's a good point, but that's not the purpose of why we put it out. We put out so we could get
I understand.
suggestions, and that's what we're doing. We're opening the floor for everyone to discuss it. It's not so that a suggestion could be later on undermined, but listen, the good points that Mr. Thacker made. You know, you look at. I don't know. I think that Mother Teresa would probably be more susceptible to some kind of change than Benjamin Franklin. Why? Because of the amount of time. Benjamin Franklin has been studied. And we know.
I
know, I know, just- No, but I'm just saying this.
Somebody I thought was beyond.
What did she do, Clarence?
I just say this that.
I'm sorry I brought her into this.
But I think what I really understand is Mr. Thacker's, comfortableness with doing something that's a little different, and I understand that and I respect that. Again, what I feel from this is really just an opportunity that we're seizing more than anything. All right.
Just for the record, in the minutes from the last workshop where you discussed it, the minutes do state that you would discuss it tonight and vote on August 1st.
And that doesn't mean we can't come up with a consensus of name, mascot colors, but we won't officially vote on it until.
I'd like to just say this as a lawyer. The integrity of this board is critical.
Yes.
And this is somewhat controversial. You have disagreements going on regarding this naming. And so you do have a representation that tonight was the discussion.
Sure.
The next meeting is the vote. So if you
Okay.
were to find cause to change that, you'd have to come, in my opinion, in good faith to the public, you find good cause, what is the good cause for changing that approach?
So let's talk about that just quickly. That way we could resolve that.
I can touch on that.
Yes. Go ahead. Mr.
I think two things to note. Number one, our more important conversation is going to be on the name. The less important conversation is going to be on the when. And so I think we should probably save some of our energy not debating whether or not we vote on it tonight or not, but just concede the fact that voting in our next meeting is probably a more prudent approach. If I were kind of getting a pulse from the board, it looks as the way I sit right now, there's 3 members that are looking, and I would be one of those, looking at voting on this as we originally had discussed, and maybe 2 that aren't. And so we could spend the next 15 minutes talking about whether we vote tonight or vote next time, but I'm just kind of looking down the line and thinking there's already 3 members that say, let's just stick with what we said as far as the timeline for the vote. I'd rather us spend our energy tonight talking about the rationale for the name, the mascot, and whatever, and not get caught up in the mire of whether we vote tonight or not. I think we've laid out a process. I think honoring it's fine.
And that's exactly what we're doing. We're going to go ahead and finish discussion, and we're going to get to a consensus in the name. So maybe not a motion, but what we call a head nod on the name or something like that. Otherwise, we may have to wait, and that way Mr. Wheeler could say, okay, you know what, we decided on the name. But so what we could do, and I think that you're correct, our intentions were to decide on the name and vote on that on the next meeting, correct?
Mr. Chairman,
So-
I'll withdraw
so
I'll withdraw my second.
Yes, we're going to go ahead and withdraw the motion.
Thank you.
And what we'll do is instead finish our discussion, decide on the name, and then that'll be the actual action item on August 1st. Okay?
And I'll finish my comments, and thank you, Chairman. Great job of bringing the board together on that and moving us in the right direction. I said last time, and maybe even 2 times, I think we've talked about this now, but last time that we had this conversation as a board, I tend to feel the same way as what Mr. Thacker just articulated, that I'm not really looking to name it after an individual. In fact, I made the comment living or dead, but part of why I was interested in having this additional conversation was because I felt like there were members of the board that really wanted to find something that was inspirational, aspirational, maybe even beyond naming it after an individual.
Sure.
And so I tend to go back to the geography piece of this, and East Lake High or Boggy Creek High or something like that, but I'm very, very, very open to a conversation about, is there some type of aspirational, inspirational name that we might use that is not tied to an individual, and having a conversation surrounding that. Otherwise, in all honesty, board, I'm looking more at some of the geography pieces and tying the name to that. So just so that my opinions are out there and we don't spend a lot of time dancing around things, we can maybe move along efficiently.
So what, did you have any kind, if I could ask?
Yeah, I mean, the top 2, I mean, I'm
Of the non-geographical or non-naming?
I'm sorry?
Non-geographical and non-personal?
No, I don't. I mean, my position has really been and remains that I like the geography piece
Okay.
of it, to be really frank.
Okay.
But I can be swayed on that if it was something that, was a Liberty High or something like that. I mean, I could be swayed in those type of directions. I couldn't be swayed on naming it after an individual.
Fine. Then, good, thank you for your comments. Mr. Booth, you're next.
Yes, I'm ready to move this along. I'll tell you what I like. I'm going to tell you right now what I would veto, or I guess I don't have the power of veto, what I would vote no on.
Not yet, Governor.
Yeah, right. I would vote no on a Narcousie High School. I don't think this is, when we get to I think Narcousie one day will have their own high school, and when they get their own high school, they're going to want to name it Narcousie High School. So I'm inclined to not like Boggy Creek High School. I don't know what it is. Maybe just like a person, something bad. Maybe Boggy Creek isn't boggy anymore. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you what I really like. I think Tohopekalaga High School or Lake Tohopekalaga High School, it would be my choice. And I had the same discussion with this historian. We could not figure out exactly what Tohopekalaga means. I've heard before it means sleeping tiger. I've heard it mean big water. We actually found a new meaning today that said we shall gather by the water. Nonetheless, I think Toho Tiger sounds cool, so I'm going to tell you right now that my choice, as I sit here today, I like Lake Tohopekalaga High School or Tohopekalaga High School, and I like the Tigers.
I like that without the lake. I like without the lake also.
Now, but I do want to say, if you don't mind, Chairman, that I actually appreciate Mr. Tiffany's words. I actually appreciate your feelings, because everything you said about Benjamin Franklin and what he's meant to this great nation is absolutely true. And that doesn't mean I don't necessarily like the name or like naming it after a person, and that I could never see doing that in the future. For me today, that just doesn't fit.
All right, thank you, Mr. Booth. Mr. Weeder, you got the floor.
Well, first off, I mean, out of the names you mentioned, I like Tohopekalaga. However, we're looking at doing something cutting edge. Tohopekalaga Technical High School, Tohopekalaga Digital High School. I don't know, but I think that something beyond the name and the geography, which is not discount. I understand there's value in that, but I think something that separates it, lets people know that this is going to the next level. And I don't know if it should be digital, cyber, technical. I don't know. Or just have a tech high school. If I've got, based on what Mr. Booth said, I don't like Lake Tohopekalaga or Lake Howell, Lake Brantley, I like Tohopekalaga.
Oh, that's okay.
So,
I just want to move this along, so I gave
all
you
right.
mine.
All right, so
Let's
let's,
go to the beach or something.
I'm trying to keep track here then. All right, so you like Lake Tohopekalaga.
No, just Tohopekalaga. It's fine with me. I
Tohopekalaga.
don't care. You put the lake. If somebody wants to put the lake in.
All right, so, okay, without the lake.
Tohopekalaga is pretty
Okay.
long by itself.
Yes. it is.
Tohopekalaga, you follow that as well. All right. I think, Mr. Thacker, do you want the lake or without the
I
lake?
do not like the lake just makes it it's long enough as it is. I like it just Tohopekalaga High School. Tohopekalaga High. I hear what Jay's saying too, and I kind of like the idea, if I don't know what the right word would be. Tohopekalaga Institute,
Tohotech.
or I don't know what the right.
Tohotech.
Tech,
I don't like that.
tech has a different connotation.
By the way, you can chime in here. I'm gonna open the floor.
Toho
Don't worry
Digital.
about the buttons.
Toho Digital.
So, Dr. Pace, go ahead.
I would just caution us against a tech high school, because in some respects, some people define that as limiting. Obviously, it's not the vision of this board or the vision of our community. Even our paths
Perception.
is not a true tech high school. But I would just caution in terms of the general perception might not be what we're looking for in this case.
Digital.
Can I question whether I should do this or not? Mr. Phelps?
No, I think it's great. Come
Do
on.
you have any,
No?
do you have any thoughts or opinions?
It's not going to be the Beavers or the Ducks.
But really, I need to let this.
Okay, that's fair enough.
It's the smartest decision you've made so far.
Well done, Mr. Phelps.
Off to a good
You're gonna be
start.
running for school board for 2 months.
In your district, Clarence.
I mean, I would just throw out, and again, I'm not married to this, I'm just trying to brainstorm with the board, Innovation High or something like that too, just to get away from just having conversations about geography, which, like I said, I tend to like. I think that's a long name, to be really honest. I understand it's going to be shortened down to Toho, as people say it, but It is a long name. I do understand the value of it and tying it into the lakes that we have and the community that we appreciate. But I also think it's important that the board does have some conversation about some other names, whether it be Innovation High or something like that, that maybe captures the spirit of what we're trying to do. If we're going to
Innovation High
depart
was
from
a suggestion?
Well, if we're going to depart from geography in any way, first of all, I don't think it needs to be solely that. I'm still open to Eastlake High School. We have Eastlake Elementary right next door. It fits right in with the theme that already exists there. There's a good articulation that would take place with that as well. So I don't think we should just completely abandon that as an idea. And then I think the board should throw out a couple of ideas. I don't like Vision or Imagine, with all due respect to those that submitted it, but I'm open to.
I like innovation.
Okay, wait a second, because I'm keeping track of this, all right. Because so far, we have 3 that like Tohopelaga. Tohopelaga. We have 3. You want Lake, East Lake. So you actually like the lake word. So it's East Lake.
I'm open to East Lake.
Okay, so it's East Lake. Okay. Jay, you kind of like everything, so I'm going to hold on
I don't
for
like
just
East
a
Lake.
moment.
I don't like East Lake. I don't like Tohopelaga or innovation. Or Tohopelaga Innovation.
I'll say that, if you don't mind,
We're getting
Chairman.
close.
No,
We're
no.
getting close, so-
I'll tell you this, because as what Mr. Weisshire said, Mr. Thacker, I think, made this comment during when we were going through when we were thinking about changing our logo. He says, I don't know what I want our logo to be, but I'll know it when I see it. And that's the thing. If you're going to tell me a name like Innovation or, Skywalker High School or something like that,
Second.
yeah. If you're going to tell me something like that, I haven't heard it yet.
You haven't heard it.
I haven't heard the name yet, and we're getting to this point where Mr. Adams and our staff need to move along. We got to have a mascot. We got to have a color. And in the end, I'll say this. I think this is important, this whole discussion. But, you heard Mr. Smith say it earlier tonight. Really, in the end, it doesn't matter if it's Benjamin Franklin or Toho or Eastlake High. It's going to matter what Mr. Phelps and his team gets done inside those walls. So I'm fine with moving through this wherever, and getting it done.
Mr. Thacker?
When we started this process, I don't know, a month ago, whatever it was, I was really focused on the descriptor. Innovation was one I thought of. The reason I backed away from those is terms like that have a tendency to all of a sudden become very dated. Like being innovative today, it's like in 10 years, 5 years, that can be like, oh, that old cliche, and we'll go on to something else.
That's a good point.
And that's what as you said, I've not come up with one. I go, wow, that's it.
Yep.
And every word I come up with is a little bit of a word of the week or year, as opposed to one that I feel like is timeless.
That's a good point. And Mr. Booth, we're naming a school that's going to be here for a long time.
No, I didn't say we should take it lightly. I just said we do need to move it along.
And it took a while to get you guys warmed up, and we're finally there, so let's continue.
I've been thinking about it quite a bit, just because we haven't discussed it on the day.
So this is where it needs to be discussed.
I was thinking Republic. It's pretty good.
Republic High School.
Patriots a little more
All right,
inclusive.
all right, so look.
If we can
gentlemen,
keep it.
If we can keep it.
Yeah, right.
But the innovation actually, thank you, Mr. Tiffany.
Thank you, sir.
See you, Charlie.
It's dark, and the highway patrol says I'm only allowed to drive in my driveway when it gets dark.
You've got another hour and a half. It's summertime.
Don't forget your hat this time.
Oh, yeah, I left my hat last time. I had the barber's itch anyway, so I left it there. Hope nobody.
Take care, Charlie. And
Thank you, sir.
All right, so, look, we're trying to, like I said, keeping track of here. The innovation did resound,
Did not with me.
but did not because of the comment, and I kind of agree. I think your comments are spot on with that. It's the difficulty with some of this, because corporate America could decide to use a word, however they want, and, that's, so if you're trying to avoid that, we'll never come up with a name, that has a inspirational word attached to it. So we're going back to,
I guess, does that mean our other 7 comprehensive high schools are, because of their names, are not innovative?
no. Here's where we're at. Look, we actually almost had with naming it after Benjamin Franklin, the biggest objection was that that's not how we do it, A, okay? No, here, I'm keeping track of it. B, I'm just opposed to people, okay? Fine.
I'll own that one.
Yeah,
Fine, fine, you know. Although, and here it is, and I think that, you didn't really, you sounded like you were still on the fence on it. You sounded like that.
I'm not down with Benjamin Franklin High School, but I did. If somebody throws a name out there, I could say, "Wow!" If I heard it,
All right, so so the other objection.
but I'm inclined to go with the geographical names. That's what I'm inclined to do.
So the other objection is that it didn't ring the bell.
And I love
But that doesn't mean-
me some Benjamin Franklin.
But it just didn't ring the bell for you. Okay, so these are the objections, which are fine. If you're going to use those objections for just about any name, I mean, in other words, if you generalize it, trying to use mathematical logic here, then what we're left with, okay, because we're not going to name it after a person because it'll be very, very difficult to find one that'll ring with you. We could be here all night. And Benjamin Franklin kind of got close, but I can't think of somebody even higher than that right now. The word is not doing it because Mr. Thacker's comment about it, which I agree with. That's the issue with word. You know, it may be cool now, but later on, you went to Osceola High School? You know what I'm saying? That can happen.
Cosmonaut.
Okay? Why not Cosmo? Oh, there we go. We found it. We found it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So, Boggy Creek is too boggy, and let's face it, it may not be boggy there anymore, which is good point.
Yeah, and you know what? Hey, I've been driving back and forth to Tampa here the last few days, right? And right on I-4 there's a high school in Plant City called Strawberry Crest High School. If this was Strawberry Crest Road, I'd be all over Strawberry Crest High School because that sounds pretty neat.
Right. And if you ask me where's Strawberry Crest High School, I have no idea where it is, but I would say I bet it's over by Plant City.
I bet it's by Plant City, exactly. So with the lack of having that kind of identity here, that brings me back to here's the lake. It's the biggest piece of this community. That's me.
I'm getting there.
All right.
Is anyone opposed to East Lake High School?
I'm not opposed to it. No. I prefer that as well, but I'm not opposed to it.
East Lake would be my number 2.
You're doing all right then.
I'd be my number 2 as well.
I really like Boggy Creek, but I think there's connotations with Boggy Creek outside of our community that are not that good.
Tohoku-Kalaga.
Excuse me.
I think the Tohoku-Kalaga gives us that unique name. That it almost gives us that flavor. Like Clarence just said, he doesn't know exactly where Strawberry Crest High School is, but he's guessing it's probably by Plant City.
But Narcoossee would fit that same definition.
It would.
But I
And is it easier? It is easier.
one in Narcoossee. That's-
I think Narcoossee will have its own high school in 10 years, 15 years.
So we're gonna.
That's my
So we'll keep the name.
purpose. I think Tohoku-Kalaga gives us that unique. I like unique and identity, and I think that name kind of gives that. Nobody else is going to be named Tohoku-Kalaga High School.
No, they're not.
There's probably, if you search, there's probably 40 East Lake High School. Well, maybe not. There may be some other East Lake High Schools or Lake this or Lake that. There's all kind of Lake this and Lake that high schools, right? So we don't have Kissimmee High School, but we do have the Osceola Kissimmee Cowboys, so I would be opposed to Kissimmee as well.
Oh, yeah, so says the St. Cloud boy.
No.
Your wife is from
If
Kissimmee.
you're looking for that identity, that K, the Cowboys with the K, because if it's the Kissimmee Cowboys, I mean, that's really an awesome thing that we have that's unique to our community. Nobody else has Tohoku-Kalaga.
It appears that Tohoku-Kalaga, that doesn't appear there.
We need to pick a name our chairman can't say.
We did it.
That would have been Weishire, by the way. he's still working on that one.
I should have warned you guys that I did try to memorize it and how to pronounce it before this meeting, and I still can't get it. But that's all right.
For what it's worth, I actually turned to the board because I was going to say, I just turned to the superintendent, was asking about some names, and I could go with the Toho Tigers.
Okay, so Tohoku-Kalaga. Okay. Well, you were the one holding out here.
I know.
But officially not Toho. Please don't do that to me.
That's just going to happen.
Officially
That's just going to happen.
Tohoku-Kalaga.
I mean, you can go with
really
it, but
isn't.
good luck I mean, that's just going to be on the building. Let's be
Yes,
honest. That's not.
everybody's going to call it Toho High School. But I think, just like we named the lakes that on the maps, it needs to be spelled out. It'll be a good spelling lesson for the high school kids there.
Yes, it will be.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Superintendent, you make the face?
No, I'm just saying we will bring forward a motion for your approval if this is what the direction of the board at our next meeting.
But if we go that direction, I would like the colors to be fuchsia and lime green.
You're gonna wear your makeup.
I'm
that
fine with
color.
the lime green.
You're gonna wear your makeup that color, right?
Guys, in terms of like the mascot, I guess there's tigers. You said that it was.
That was my thing I threw out there.
Is that associated with the name?
Oregon.
Well, look,
I always thought Tohoku-Kalaga was Sleepy Tiger.
but now, today I have gathered 3 other meanings. Today I've gathered 3 other meanings of the word, and one gentleman told me that, how many tigers do you think the Seminole Indians had when they named the lake Tohoku? I said, you make a really good point. So
What do the Google gods say?
the Google gods say, gather by the water. I've heard big water, and I've just heard another one.
Gather here together.
I have heard big water, and the other one I've heard is fort on the water. And I actually
It's
had,
water related, so waterfowl, alligators, turtles.
Alligators.
Take your pick. Take your pick.
Alligators.
No.
no, I knew we would never get Tim across the gator line and bring him to the bright side, but he wants to live on the dark side. That's
I was good with Skywalker.
Skywalkers.
Side, the Force is
Hey,
with
we could
me.
be the innovation Skywalkers done. Let's do it.
Tohopeka.
So water.
Actually, the
cottonmouth?
The cottonmouse? Yeah.
Nothing survives the cottonmouth.
it is Seminole original.
We can go with that.
So
Seminoles.
yeah, that's the origin.
Not happening.
Probably not.
It's about
Thacker needs to
it's
use
about
the
a
restroom.
Seminole
Let's call for
legend.
the vote.
It's about a Seminole legend about a man who eats a fish found in a hollow log away from the water. Though he is warned never to eat anything out of place, he eats the fish and turns into a huge snake.
Heed the warning.
He crawls down to Okeechobee Lake and then out to the Gulf, leaving a winding river in his path. So that's the origin of the river.
Yes, correct.
That's how it started.
The Kissimmee River.
Yeah, so there you go.
Headwaters.
So you know what? Look, man, I'm learning already about the name.
Huh? There you go, Kel. Can you say it yet, though?
Yeah, Tohopelaga. You got to put the accent on the second syllable. Jesus. All right.
Look, I mean, that's what I threw out there just to get this thing started.
Superintendent, was it frogs that
Beat
go with
around
that
it.
name or tigers? What was it? I think frogs.
Frogs?
Cookie, what is it? Cookies. What is it?
I'm not going to claim to
Cookies?
have expertise in school mascots.
How do you say it? Cookie.
Oh, cookie?
Cookie.
God,
I'm just messing with you.
that'd be difficult.
And look at the principal's face right now. He's like, what? Koki?
That's a Puerto Rican
Welcome to
frog.
Osceola County.
It's not going to be
They
the
don't,
beavers
they
or
don't, they don't
ducks.
really make it up here in this climate. All right, so,
Remember, your children are going to be connected to this name.
yeah. Yep. So what is the mascot, guys? And then we'll leave the colors up to the,
No, we have to do the colors, too.
we don't have to. We could just leave it there.
Till next week?
It'll just be there
Ryan
for us
did
to-
some, you might look back at that original agenda item because Ryan did some research
I
about
have
what
it right
other mascots had not been used very frequently and with things that were connected, for example, to the Bears, like the Bruins, or, for example, the colors, the things that we don't have in our district and that haven't been common. Again, it's entirely up to the board, but that's where we kind of did that background research to find out what had not been overused.
Page 283 on your agenda, guys.
And also things that hadn't been used repeatedly.
So,
These are your baby blue. This is your navy.
I don't like cottonmouth.
Cottonmouths?
Cottonmouths.
Yeah.
well, snake is part of the story. Hold on.
Yeah, I have nightmares about snakes. I don't need.
But it is part of
You
the.
have nightmares about gators, too.
FAMU has a snake.
That's
and-
only
and
on
its
Thanksgiving
mascot.
They're the
weekend.
rattlers, yep.
Guys, you know what? It's 7:10. I'm going to start wrapping it up. So, Tigers-
Cottonmouth
tigers
is a
run.
little bit more difficult to cheer, just saying. Go Cottonmouths.
Okay.
Snakes.
Okay, so.
Let's roll with the Tigers.
There is nothing wrong with the Tigers.
I like the Tigers.
Tigers is like the most used mascot.
Navy and white.
On its own proves that it works.
Yeah, navy and white are the colors.
So you go.
And you know what, Tim? Navy and white.
Navy and
Are we
white.
done? Let's
Wait,
go.
it's got to be orange and black if they're tigers.
No, it doesn't have to
Tigers are orange
be.
and black.
No, because it's like there's some tigers that are white and black.
Yeah, in
Siberia.
India.
They perform in
They're
Vegas.
albino Siberian tigers.
Look, I like Tim's suggestion of navy and white. I think those are good colors. I think.
Not for tigers.
A tiger?
Tigers.
Yeah, look at LSU. That's the LSU Tiger right there. He's purple and gold.
Well, we're not from Louisiana. We're
I know, that's what I'm saying, but he's not orange and black.
You've got like the Carolina Panthers that are the Carolina blue.
Yeah, but that's the panther.
Or the Bengals.
That's
The
tiger.
Bengals are black. The Bengals are orange.
Ryan, navy and white's good.
You guys
Come on, Ryan, help us out.
Ryan,
Remember
checked
that
out
Point
about half
Sienna
hour.
is the navy, red, white, and
looking
blue.
at us
They're like
right
navy, red, and white.
I thought they were just red and white.
No, Point Sienna originally, because remember they were the Eagles, were red, white, and blue, but it was a navy eagle. I mean, a navy blue, not
So
a.
we can't be navy and white?
No, you can be, but it just, there is a little bit of duplication there.
I kind of
Right.
view the Eagles as their primary color really being red.
Orange and black, man. That's tigers.
I mean, from a school standpoint. I know you were
Originally,
principal and I
it was
wasn't.
the
but-
idea of patriotism, and that's where it came up with the Eagles in red, white, and blue.
Right.
Crane could be
I just
wrong.
see red being the more primary color on campus, and but I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, and I'm just seeing
It
it.
really just depends.
I like navy and white.
I'm fine with that. I'm ready to.
Okay, but
move
wait a
on.
minute. So we have color, and what was the mascot again?
The Kelvin Sotos.
Tigers.
The fighting sodas.
The Tigers.
Sotos.
Listen, Benjamin Franklin would have been so easy with mascot and everything. You guys,
We
already
got
have
into
the
describe
Chargers.
mine.
Now you're
You
gonna
guys,
lose to
I know
Topa
the
Calaga.
Chargers,
We already have
the
them.
Lightning or whatever. It would have been quite easy. All right, so what we're going to put on the agenda finally is going to be.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Well, don't announce that because Jay won't be here. We might change it all because he can't vote.
Well, I can always bring it back for revote because I'm not on the
Calaga.
losing side. Robert's rules.
You don't know. You may be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Tigers, navy, and
We're
white.
good. Yes, sir. Thank you for the direction,
Tigers and
board.
navy and white.
Ryan,
Yeah.
how we do?
Yeah. Is that what you
This
wanted?
is your opportunity.
Got
He
it.
just likes it because it's New York Giants colors.
It's easy.
Do not come to us
missed this
before
one
the
up.
August 1st board meeting and say, gosh, guys, that's terrible. What am I going to do with a navy and white tiger?
I will say, though, if Ryan's happy with what we picked, I want to open this back up for
Right,
discussion.
there's really a problem with that, if Ryan's.
All right, moving on.
All right, so at this time, we're going to recess this meeting and convene a special meeting for rules. Boyd, thank you for your patience.
We want to
Actually, recess.
let's take a 5-minute recess.
Oh, you want to recess for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
We just lost.
Right.
Just you and I.
I'm going some work.
Go home if you want to.
Good evening, Board. We're here to bring to you tonight a full slate of proposed revisions to our school board rules. We have one blue sheet change that I'll refer to last, but I'll go through the list of changes that are that are in your packet. We have 5 new rules that are being proposed. Of those 5, 4 of them deal with school choice, and then we have other revisions for a total of 10 rules that would be affected that would reflect changes for school choice to make everything consistent with what we've done before in your actually 2 cycles back. First rule, 5.141, school choice, is a policy required to comply with Section 1002.31, which defines the different types of school choice in our school district. 5.142, post-secondary enrollment programs, is a policy that's actually required by recent changes in state law that reflects those post-secondary options like dual enrollment and defines those. Then Rule 5.16, educational stability for children in foster care, is not related to school choice, but is required by Every Student Succeeds Act, the federal law. 5.22, controlled open enrollment, extends the definition of controlled open enrollment that we began the discussion in a year ago, and it's a policy that's required by Section 1002.31. 5.24, classroom transfer, is implementing choice options for classroom transfer in Sections 1003.3101 and 1012.42 Florida statutes. It was in the same law in the last session, not this current session that just ended, but a year ago. The next set of changes are all reflecting existing school board rules. 2.25 school board adopted plans would delete references to out-of-zone procedures and out-of-county procedures for consistency with the school district's controlled open enrollment policy. 2.26, school improvement and education accountability, revises paragraph 2, adds paragraph 6, and adds citations for sections 1002.20 and state board, well, that's Florida statutes, and then state board rule 6A-1.09981 Florida Administrative Code. 3.60 flag display and pledge revises paragraph 2 to comply with current requirements in section 1003.44 Florida statutes, adds a citation section 2.56.015 Florida statutes. This simply refers the readers of the rule to the Code of Student Conduct, which reflects the change the board made a year ago related to this same topic. 3.90, charter schools, revises the policy fairly extensively in order to comply with recent changes in state law and update citations throughout. 4.10, the curriculum, clarifies paragraph 4 to refer the reader to the student progression plan in order to comply with sections of 1003.42 and 1008.25 Florida statutes, deletes paragraph 4, which contained obsolete language for a act that has sunset. 4.65, virtual instruction, adds paragraph 3, deletes citation for section 1003.428 Florida statutes, which was repealed, adds a citation for section 1003.4282. 5.20, student assignment, revises the policy to comply with sections 1002.31 and 1002.38 Florida statutes, adds a citation for section 1002.20 Florida statutes, and that's to provide consistency for the other school choice rules and the language therein. 5.321, prohibiting bullying harassment, policy revision is to comply with recent changes in state law and to comply with the Florida Department of Education model policy. 5.80, athletics, revises paragraph 11, adds citation sections 1002.20 and 1002.31 Florida statutes. 5.83, school choice transfer athletic eligibility, revises paragraphs 1C and 1D to comply with recent changes in state law and Florida High School Athletic Association guidelines, and renumbers the policy throughout, reflecting the change in the numbering. Rule 6.101, affirmative action, revises paragraph 2K to replace out-of-zone transfers with school choice applications for consistency with the school district's controlled open enrollment policy. The next rule listed for a change was 6.22. We're pulling that rule because there are pending changes in state board rule that we're waiting on, that we've been given information about, and so we're just postponing this, and we'll bring it in a future school board rulemaking cycle to you. We do have that revision in your packet, but it's likely to change, so we decided to just pull the rule. 6.321, employee use of cellular phones, is the first of 3 rule changes that are going to help assist the district in expanding our Bring Your Own Device initiative to our employees. In this rule, 6.321, there's a revision to paragraph 2E and 2F in order to support that initiative. Rule 6.549, sick leave, adds paragraph 2 to articulate the criteria of the school district's sick leave buyback program. This summary says pending negotiations. Well, fortunately, we did settle, and that part of that settlement was this very policy for sick leave buyback as a MOU. 7.40, fundraising for school projects and activities, revises paragraph 9A and 9B in order to address federal audit findings related to the sale of vending machine snacks during school lunch. In other words, prohibit that, and within a certain time frame of the day, the school day. 8.43, competitive sales and fundraising regulations, revises paragraph 1 through 4 in order to address the same federal audit findings. 8.60 is the second of the 3 changes. It's network acceptable use, adds paragraph 15 through 17 in order to support the extension of the school district's BYOD initiative. 8.601, social media, deletes paragraph 2E and renumbers the policy throughout in order to support the BYOD initiative's extension to all employees. And then the last 2 rule changes for rules shaded in gray on your packet are those that just have citation changes. 6.301, conflict of interest in purchasing. 6.70, staff training, has a slight clarification to paragraph 4C that does not change the meaning. And lastly, on the original packet changes for the student progression plan throughout all 3 levels, elementary, middle, and high, there's an update to the immunization requirements as directed by the Florida Department of Health just in time for our new school year. And in all 3 levels, there's policy language added to address student withdrawals due to non-attendance just in time for the new school year. And then the high school student progression plan, this change or this revision that's proposed would add completion of training, not certification, in cardiopulmonary resuscitation within the physical education high school graduation requirement. It's a life-saving revision that's being proposed. And at the public hearing, we'll likely hear from a speaker from the American Heart Association speaking in favor of this particular change. And then last but not least, on the blue sheet change that's actually a white page, so I guess white is the new blue, there is in the law that just passed 7069 an expansion of the time required, at least how it affects our district, for our elementary recess plan. So these revisions add language from that bill that is now law and actually adds the extra 10 minutes to our early release Wednesday so that we'll be fully compliant with 20 minutes for each of the 5-day regular school week. At this time, I'll gladly take questions for any of these changes, but we're not asking for action at this evening. We'll bring them back to you on August 15th for action. Thank you.
All right, discussion by board, Mr. Booth.
Does the elementary recess plan apply to all schools in Osceola County?
All traditional public schools.
So this does not apply to any charter schools?
No, sir, because of the law.
Mr. Weissier.
Rule 3.60 regarding the display of the flag and the new language there, is that actual language that's required? Do we have to do that to align with what's previously been done by this board? Or is that just a recommendation and we don't have to do it?
What this does is actually brings that rule into alignment with what the board's already decided. It simply is language that refers the reader of the rule back to the Code of Student Conduct where you added the language. So it doesn't really add language that's as specific as your Code of Student Conduct.
Okay. And then just a question on the language in there. It was stricken, flags shall be displayed according to the established guidelines, and then paragraph 5 says all flags shall meet the requirements of Florida statutes. The paragraph 3 where that's being stricken, do we have specific language? I guess I'm just questioning whether or not by taking that out, are we taking out the requirement to ensure that the flag is always being displayed according to the proper code?
No, sir, that deletion would not change that requirement because it refers them back to the statute that does require it. We don't really have to remove that paragraph if you would not like us, board, to remove it, but it was a recommendation from Educational Management Consultant Services for consistency.
Yeah.
It really won't make a difference either way, in all honesty.
The only problem is if they ever repeal a statute and you don't have the paragraph, then you don't have the backup. That's the only.
Good point.
Well, but I guess I would question, to your point, Mr. Boyd, is if we didn't take out the last sentence in paragraph 3, flags shall be displayed according to the established guidelines, and I don't need to make a mountain out of a molehill here. I just don't think striking that is needed.
Okay.
Personally.
Because if Florida legislature changes their statute, you fall back to the federal guidelines. So if you keep the sentence, you then have that direction.
Right, and that's what I'm looking for. So, Board,
Okay.
I'd like to see that sentence remain and not be stricken when it comes back.
I'm fine with that.
And then the other question I had, and this is really more of a practical question, it's 7.0 and 8.43. Those deal with the fundraising, and it's under our business services. The change there, school organizations are authorized to conduct the sale of food and beverage items only, what it previously said 1 hour following the close of the last lunch period. Now it says 5 minutes after the school day. Dr. Pace, I'm really kind of looking to you on this one. From a practical standpoint and how schools actually use these things, does that place a significant limitation on the ability of schools to do things, raise money? I mean, how much are we controlling that, or is it actually going to help us because we have a free-for-all happening on campuses and this helps clean it up?
This is to comply with federal guidelines.
Okay. And so you're saying this change is required?
Yes, that is my understanding. Yes.
So very, very strict on this particular issue because they don't want anything competing with the healthy foods that are distributed by the school. And both the state and the feds come down on you on this. This has been, I've probably dealt with this particular audit issue more than any other issue over the years.
Okay. Which goes right into my next point, which was 8.43 is my problem with the state and federal government continuing to dictate to local governing agencies what we should and shouldn't do in our schools or in our communities or with our developments. And I know it's maybe more of a philosophical point tonight, but as I read this and we have to put in here that we need to meet Congressional Healthy Hunger, Free Kids Act and all these other things, I'm probably talking to a wall, but it's annoying. And I get frustrated with a local school district having to comply with some federal mandate when the truth be told, the federal government doesn't really have a role in local education, nor should they.
I just hope there's somebody from Washington at my house right now cleaning out my fridge, deciding what should be in there or not.
Board, I'll yield
I
back.
agree, Tim. Thank you.
Those were two of my issues, really three, but two of the main points that I had.
All right, so you guys have your moment. Anybody else? All right. No other comments? Mr. Boyd, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd.
Thank you,
All right.
Boyd.
Thank you, John.
So let's reconvene our school board meeting. And we are at the consent agenda.
I would like to pull item,
There's modifications, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Wheeler?
I'm good.
Mr. Booth?
I just want to make it clear, Board, that I was the one that added the new business item. I know traditionally we have added the name of the school board member that puts the item on there. I do not know why my name was not listed next to this item, but I was the board member that did request this item under new business and impact fee study. That has to do with some discussions I've had with some local planning commissioners.
Very sneaky.
I can't wait to hear about that. All right, so, Mr. Thacker, you were pulling.
Yeah, I'd like to pull item 9 for some discussion
Okay, Pine Tree.
under facilities.
Got it. So, number 9 pulled. Mr. Weissier.
I just want to have a brief conversation with the board, Chairman, maybe under new business, just about our start date of school, tax holiday, and open houses. It's not an issue. I just want to have a conversation.
New
so that we
business, what was it, start of school?
can- Yeah,
Holiday.
tax holiday, open house.
DD.
And what else was it?
That's it. Start date of school, tax holiday, and open houses. I've been talking to a constituent. I just want to bring the board up to speed and want to make sure that we talk through it.
Okay. All right, got that. All right, so with those proposed amendments to the agenda,
I'll make a
take-
motion to
yeah.
approve the consent agenda with the exclusion of
9.
item 9.
Second.
all right, so motion by Mr. Wheeler, second by Mr. Thacker. Any further discussion, Board?
The inclusion of item DD by Mr. Weissier under new business.
Yes, the addition of item.
Okay.
You got that?
That's fine for my
I'm good.
second. I'm good with my second.
Yours, 9 and 10 are just not.
All right,
We'll just go.
we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
All those in favor, hearing none, vote passes 5-0. Okay. We're done with the consent agenda. We're now to the information.
Except item 9.
No, we got to do item 9.
Item 9. It's getting late, guys.
That's
Item 9.
okay, no
Mr.
problem.
Thacker,
Sorry.
you have the floor.
I'm pulling down, I'm just trying to get to it in my packet. My question with this is, I think if I read this right, or maybe y'all can just help me if I understand it, this is a piece of property where, that was deeded to us. Am I assuming it was deeded to us for no money at the time as part of a development order or something? Does anybody know the history of this piece by any chance?
I'll take a first stab. So the property was purchased in 2006 as a straight purchase for $1.9 million.
Is that 9 or is that 10?
It's 9.
2006, the year 2006 for $1.9 million.
Okay. Okay. That was my question. I thought it was donated is where my
Yeah, this is the appraisal.
question was. So I'm fine. I'll move for approval.
Second.
Just a quick comment on that. But thank you, Mr. Thacker. I had reached out to Mr. Clinch as well on both items number 9 and 10. Obviously, anytime we're going to liquidate an asset, I want to understand what we're doing, what the rationale is, as well as what the history was, and some of the questions that I asked were exactly that, as well as looking at what we paid for item number 10, which has already been approved under a consent agenda item. I appreciate you pulling it out. Hopefully we're not dealing with these too often because I don't think we have so much surplus laying around, but at the same time, the reason I voted for it, and I want to go on the record with this, is because I understand the need and the utilization of those dollars today. The second part of that would be, particularly on item number 9, is when you look at when we purchased that property, because I asked the exact same question, whether or not it was a straight purchase, impact fee credits, or some type of donation, and it was a straight purchase. We bought it in 2006, and you guys know what was going on in 2006. We're at the height of a real estate market. And at this point, the reason I support it is because I recognize that getting the value back to that level may take a number of years, and we have lost opportunity in order to grow and expand our district and keep up with our capital needs now. So the last thing would be on item number 10, which again we already voted on, is and we paid $254,000 for that in 1974. I'm not even sure I was born when we bought it. But when you look at inflation as well over the course of time, we're basically getting the current value of that based on inflation for what we paid for it 40 years ago. So I'm okay with that one because it's really going to be a one-for-one aside from the carrying costs that we've had over the years. But we are leveraging item number 9 to really leverage some dollars today that we really do need. So, just because I had some questions and comments and it was pulled, I wanted to bring the board up to speed.
All right, Mr. Thacker?
Just to be clear, the reason I pulled this, I'm sorry, I found now where it was purchased for the 1.9. I don't know what I saw earlier. I clearly didn't see the right thing. I thought had been donated, and board probably understands my feeling on property that's donated that we hold and we get from people through development agreements that we don't need, and then we sell it. That's where I had the problem with, but this is not the case here.
Mr. Booth?
And just very quickly, I had several conversations with Dr. Pace about this item, and Mr. Clinch, I did not reach out to you, but I did talk to Dr. Pace about this item. I just want to make it clear here publicly that, there is a ton of growth in this area. So I want to make sure we have a plan going forward. They're building 300 houses right next to this piece of property because I drive by it every day. And I don't want to be sitting here on this dais and approving another 20-acre purchase that costs us double than what we just sold this for. So I just want to make that very clear. I'm going to be very upset if anybody brings back something like that and we're getting rid of this property.
I would
So
echo
I
that,
just want to
too.
make that very clear.
I agree with those comments.
But I will vote for it. Will vote for its approval. But I want to make it very clear that if we're getting rid of this property and then 2 years from now, we come back and have to purchase property and we're spending a lot of money when we had this property sitting here. I just want to put that out there publicly.
Mr. Weissire?
Thank you. Mr. Booth, you raise an excellent point. As far as the timing of this is concerned, is this something that we would have to deal with tonight? Has the facility staff really started to look at what the next 5 years, 10 years in this area is going to be and what need we're going to have for additional land? Because that is a very important part. And, I mean, you guys know what I do for a living, and I can tell you right now, finding a good piece of property at a decent price is not very easy right now, and it's only going up.
I want to say Dr. Pace made a very compelling case, and I will vote for the approval. But I certainly, Tim, I know where you're going, and I'm with you.
And I agree, because we talked very briefly about this earlier, and I understand the need for the dollars today. But I think, Mr. Booth, you're on to something very important. I would be concerned if we sat back here again in a few years, too, and had to buy a piece of real estate out there and paid $2 million for it.
I'm going to have to defer to Mr. Clinch and Ms. Blake for that particular answer. I know that the purpose was that we felt like this land had better purposes in line with the City of St. Cloud's development order
Yes,
for
that's
another
correct.
use, and it was going to potentially permit us to leverage some other needs in other property. But certainly, we are looking long-term, but please do assure the
Yes.
board that we aren't going to need a school in that area in
Yes,
the next
ma'am.
10 years.
The Lakeview property will be affected by a CRA that was just developed by the city where that type of development will not be warranted.
Right.
So that it doesn't, a school, an additional school next to the existing school would not fit in that CRA. And as far as the 5-year CIP, more related to the Pine Tree Covington, we do have a site ready for our next elementary school, the old Hickory Tree Elementary School, which is identified in the 5-year CIP.
Thank you, I thought so.
And that'll take care of what we need. And it's not even 5 years. I know that we have to deal with the 5-year component, but, we have to take the long look on it. I'm okay. I really can be, but I think it's an important conversation, and I really appreciate Mr. Booth talking about it in that way. I don't want to be in year 6 and then go, oh, now we need it, just because we said we wasn't in year 5. I don't want to be in semantics over the timing on that. So we're comfortable that in the next foreseeable, beyond 5 years, and I'm not talking 15 years, we can't project that long, but we don't see a need for additional real estate in this area.
Not for that attendance zone, not at this time. We are looking ahead. We're constantly keeping an eye on what growth is doing, but at this time, in the foreseeable future, we do not have a need for a school in that particular area.
Are we using the impact fee numbers that we've been giving the Planning Commission to make these assessments about this school? Because if we are, I may change my vote here in just a second. Are we using our current impact fee study to make the decision on this property tonight?
It's based on the current information.
Okay,
yes.
Board, I'm going to move and vote no on this.
Well, you're going to withdraw your second?
I'm going to withdraw. No, you can second it. I'll still second it.
All right. That's fine.
All right, let Ms. Wright.
We're almost done. Oh, yeah, good, good, good.
Speak to it. I didn't even know she was back there.
Based on current.
Thanks, Rhonda.
You're welcome.
Good evening.
The 5, 10, 20-year projections that we do for student population are not based on the impact fee generations. Those are actually based on growth, and then traditional growth, and then we add the residential growth on top. So what we show right now is in about a 10 to 12-year window, we would need a school in this site. However, the one reason we're a little more comfortable in releasing this site at this time is we just acquired the Roan Bridge site through the mitigation agreement.
Which side is that?
Roan Bridge.
Old
It will be
Hickory Road?
built directly across the street from Hickory Tree Elementary School. It's a 25-acre site for K-8, so it was dedicated. Had we not just received that site, I would not have been as willing to release the Covington site. So between Old Hickory Tree Estates and Roan Bridge, and then the charter schools that are coming online on the Narcoossee, we do believe we have what we need for the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
So
I'm back to being fine again. Let's vote on this. Come on, call to question.
I want to see if I can flip you over one more time.
All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Thacker, second by Mr. Booth. No further discussion. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, so that will conclude the consent agenda and the removed item. We are now to the information agenda portion of our meeting. Ms. Graver, I think we're ready for you.
You have the budget in your packet. If you guys want me to walk through the booklet, I'd be happy to. But if you prefer that we don't take the time this evening, I'll be going through the entire trim presentation on August 1st when you will be approving the budget.
Thank you for that announcement.
Thank you.
Our next item is information on Health and Life Insurance Trust Fund monthly report. Mr. DeBoard.
Good evening. You have in your packets, under item 14, the monthly report from Gallagher Benefit Services reporting through May 2017. You'll see the rolling 12 months, we're looking at 106% of the loss ratio. The next page is the plan year to date, which is the October 1st to September 30th, and as of May, we're at 99% loss ratio. And we are coming into the summer months that traditionally we do see spikes in additional spending because people are off work and able to have some things taken care of that they need to have taken care of. With the item 15 is the center reports that you see on a monthly basis. Just wanted to mention on the during the month of May, we're still trying to address the no-show issue. We were in the month of May had 374 no-shows. We have seen the June report, which the month of May was a 4-week month. The month of June is actually a 5-week month, so it actually goes up to 456 no-shows, which is about, on an average, the same, around 91, 92 no-shows on a weekly basis. So we did identify those. Since the last time we met, there has been a home mailer go out. Hopefully you got a copy in your mail. And one of the items mentioned in that mailer was please start contacting the center and letting them know so they can cancel your appointment if you're not going to be able to show up for your appointment. But like I said, from May to June, we didn't see any kind of an...
How long is an appointment?
Pardon me?
How long is an appointment kind of scheduled for?
Minimum of 20 minutes.
So we got 18 of those at 20 minutes.
Yeah.
6 hours a day. That's almost a doctor full-time that we're paid to do nothing. And a nurse. Okay.
Chairman Soto, if I may, I'd like to ask for the board to give us some consensus tonight on potentially invoking a no-show policy. By the end of September, we meet with our bargaining team on benefits. By then, we will have additional data since the flyer and preschool announcements have gone out. If we are not seeing a decrease in the no-show issue, I'd like to recommend that we implement a no-show charge. It would, of course, go to the benefits advisory team first, and then to the bargaining teams in October for a potential MOU. But we cannot sustain this kind of lost time, is my opinion.
Thank you, Dr. Pace. Mr. Booth, you're next.
Mr. DeBoard, have we, Polk County has 2 of these clinics, right, for their employees, and maybe there's other ones, the county has 1, correct? Have we reached out to them and seen what their policies are, what they do?
Yes, I have. I spoke with Lake Schools. They have 4 or 5 sites now for their clinic, and they actually sent me a copy of their policy and in the procedures they follow. They actually have a 4-step process. If you're a no-show for the first time you're a no-show, you receive a letter, basically, next time please call and cancel your appointment, but they don't penalize them in any way. But then there's a second time. If there is a second time, there's a charge of $25. If there's a third event, there's an additional charge of $60. And then if there's a fourth event, then that patient is not allowed to make an appointment at the center for 6 months.
Okay.
So, but that's information I just actually got from Lake Schools today. So, and she did indicate that it had a very powerful impact. Yes, it had a very positive impact. That their no-show rate is almost non-existent at this point.
Mr. Thacker?
I like something like that. I'm fine with a one-time freebie or whatever you want to call it. I think this is indicative of what happens when you have a service that people are starting to perceive as free and no cost. This is where this is coming from. Well, it doesn't cost anything anyway. If you think of a doctor and a nurse for 6 hours a day for a week, that's a lot of money, and space and everything else that comes with it. So, I'm all for moving faster than September if possible to put a policy in place.
Mr. Wheeler?
I agree with Mr. Thacker. I'm not a big fan of anything for free. I do think that we need some sort of policy and some sort of mechanism relative to making this no-show situation improve greatly. I will also say this, on subject but a little bit different, we've been talking about this for a couple of years now, and I know there's no great options, and I know this wasn't part of the agenda, but we're having this conversation. We've got a number of employees who cannot afford to put their families on the plans that we've got, and there is not a good option for those families with the Cigna menu that is available, and I would like to see the bad options that are available alternative to that. I realize they're not good options that we may be able to do using the clinic, and I've never seen anything, and this clinic's been open for a while now. It's not like it's the first time out, and when and I'm going to repeat something I've said more than once. We've got people that we're making great demands on for performance, and they're working with our most valuable asset, our children. Yet their own children, their own spouse, if they're sick at home and they aren't on our plan, they're going to be preoccupied as you or I would be thinking about their sick child or their sick significant other at home who doesn't have access to medical, through what we've got. So I think that we need to, I'm a firm believer, happy people are productive people, and we want these people to be productive, and we want to do as much as we can, because in my opinion, can't be everything to everybody, but we are responsible for not just these employees, but the souls that are linked to them, their significant others. So I would like to see something maybe in the next 60 to 90 days, see what options there are. I don't know what options there are, but whatever options there are, I haven't been shown anything.
Mr. Weisseier.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll be brief. I can basically just say I agree with what Mr. Thacker said, and Superintendent, you have my head nod to move forward with that as soon as possible. I was very clear at the last board meeting that we discussed this, that I'm not in favor of charging anything. This is something that I think we've worked really hard to put in place as a value and a benefit, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we protect the investment and provide the opportunity for all employees to have access to this, while employees that are not showing up are taking that opportunity from others. The other thing I would just say is I'd really wish we'd refer to it as a wellness center and not a clinic. I think if we start to talk about wellness as a main piece of what we do, and I know we have wellness programs and everything, clinic does not sound good, wellness does, and that's really what we're striving for. So I think the what we say and how we say it is important also.
We generally refer to it as the center, or Center for Employee Health.
The center.
Yes.
Mr. DeBoer, would you please email everyone the policy, all the board members, the policy from Lake County?
Yes, sir.
And board, I'd move that we would put that on our agenda. If we put something like what we're going to do, a solution, on the August agenda, that'll give you time for the bargaining.
Well, it wouldn't go before the bargaining committee until September.
Okay, so
But we
doing
can
it,
approve what we.
doing it in August, we can do it.
What you would want.
Policy or whatever you call it, so if they
Yeah.
approve it.
Number two, I'm going to, Mr. Wheeler has made this comment about these hybrid programs a half a dozen times, and I appreciate that. I will repeat my statement that I have made to him each time he's made this statement. If you can come up with a plan that adds no additional cost to the district's plans that we already have in place, I would be in favor of it. Otherwise, I would not be in favor of that.
And I would just say that we have tasked Gallagher and Associates. If you'll remember, we did an RFP for our benefits consultant in the spring. They were awarded the contract again and have not been able to come up with something that would work. They are in regular conversation with both Florida Hospital and Cigna. In addition, we went out for RFP for our benefits and pharmacy management, and again, wrote some original language in that, seeking a kind of plan, a hybrid plan, very much like you saw, Mr. Wheeler, and we have been unable to find an option. So in that, we have failed. But if there's something out there that you've heard about or read about, we will certainly research it. But I don't know what it is at this time.
Florida Hospital can't come up with something? Independent of saying Florida Hospital can't come up with something?
Big money.
Yeah,
Big money.
Yep, Mr. Wheeler, healthcare is hard.
It's a complex issue, isn't it?
Well, and Cigna
Being
is.
sick is harder.
Cigna has been working, trying to put a network, a specific network together, and they're working on it, but it's not complete yet. So, that would kind of have to sit next to the center, services provided by the center. But they're still working on it. It's not a project
This has been going on for well over a year. I mean, this isn't something I'm just bringing up today.
Right, and when you first started talking about it, Cigna didn't really have anything available, so it's taking them time to put this, to understand what we
Going on
were
3
looking
years
for,
since I
and,
first brought it up.
well, maybe it wasn't when you first brought it up, but, since we've been working with the center, or had the center to work with, and trying to come up with something that would work in conjunction with the center, I guess, is, since we've added that
If they're bad
piece to
options,
it.
I'd at least like to see the bad options.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. DeBoer. Is there anything else?
No, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board, you'll find in the agenda packet the information on the monthly business advisory board meeting that we just had on June 28th. All right, so this time we begin with our regular agenda item.
Mr. Chairman, I would move for approval of items A, B, and C under curriculum and instruction.
Second.
All right, so there's a motion to approve by Mr. Booth, a second by Mr. Wheeler, curriculum and instructions A through C. Any discussion?
Go Gators.
Hearing none. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Vote passes.
How do I say aye?
5-0.
I'll make a motion to approve under Roman numeral
You approve
8
that.
That's right.
through J.
Okay, so motion approved by Mr. Wheeler,
Second.
second by Mr. Thacker, items D through J. Any discussion? Hearing none, we take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, vote passes
Make a
5-0.
motion to approve item K.
Second.
All right, so motion by Mr. Thacker to approve item K, second by Mr. Wheeler on, any discussion on that items, board? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, vote passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion under business and finance to approve items L through S as submitted.
Motion by Mr. Wheeler on L through S,
Second.
by Mr. Weissier. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, vote passes 5-0. On facility, we will pull items X. I believe that we're just waiting on some information that we don't have yet.
So that's being
Yes.
tabled, or that's being tabled till next meeting?
It's been pulled at this time. I apologize that I didn't catch it during the item, the agenda modification.
We get the-
Then I will move for approval, Mr. Chairman, of all the items under facilities excluding X.
Second.
All right, there's a motion by Mr. Booth to
I've got
approve
a
items
question for discussion.
T through Z with the exception of X, which has been pulled. Second by Mr. Wheeler. Discussion by Thacker.
Mr. Clinch, item U, that's $6 million. Is that the district purchased materials?
Yes.
Yes, sir, that's
That's what I
owner
thought. I
direct
just wanted to make
purchase.
sure. Okay.
So
Okay, I'm
that
good.
actually generates sales tax
Yeah,
savings.
no, I know that. I just,
Yes.
I assumed that's what it had to be. I looked and
Yes,
again, I
sir.
might have missed it right in front of me again. So, okay.
All right. So any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Vote passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, under superintendent's recommendation, I'm going to make a motion to approve item double A as submitted.
Second.
Motion to approve items double A by Mr. Wheeler, second by Mr. Weiser. Is there any discussion? No? All right. Board, all those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? State
I got
no.
I've
Hearing
got
none.
a
Vote passes 5-0.
a technical question. Can we just pull X out, or do we need to make a motion to pull it out?
No, we just.
Can you just
pulled it.
pull it once it's on the published agenda? Okay.
Well,
But the tabling's,
the table's different. I think what would need to happen is that in the reflection of the adoption of the agenda, that the agenda was adopted, less item X would probably be the best way to reflect it.
Well, Frank said the chairman can pull it.
Okay.
Chair has the authority when he says to pull something from the agenda. And you can vote to overrule the chair's pulling.
okay.
But he can pull it.
I just want to make sure we did it right for the record. so.
But I think Tim can do it that way also, a motion that says we're approving it less than. Sure. Decide either way.
Can we just make a motion to pull item X from the agenda?
I think we're
You
fine.
you think you're good? Okay.
Okay.
All
We're
right.
fine as we are.
All right.
All right, so,
Frank.
attorney.
Yes, the evaluations are in. Chairman Soto and I are meeting tomorrow to go through it for him, the final summative on behalf of the board. We will then come back to you. Additionally, Chairman Soto will discuss with Dr. Pace and bring back a recommendation for appropriate salary and benefit changes based upon the performance, et cetera. And everything looks very, 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 very good.
All right.
Really?
Mr. Wheeler?
I am not going to be at the next board meeting. I just want to make it clear that I have not seen any other reviews. I gave Dr. Pace very good review. Dr. Pace has got my complete confidence, and if I ever have any issues, I know how to get a hold of her. I'm not shy about it. But Dr. Pace, you're doing an exceptionally good job. Stay on track. And my biggest issue for everybody in leadership, including the superintendent, make sure you make time for yourself. I mean, I appreciate the dedication, I appreciate the professionalism, but you're all allowed to have a life. And that goes for the superintendent also. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. So that's my only comment on that. Thank you.
Oh, well. All right. Okay, so anything else, Mr. Krupenbacher?
No, sir.
All right. Superintendent's update.
Chairman Soto and Board, I do need to request the consideration for a workshop. We anticipate having some impact fee information back for your review from our study. So I would recommend September the 19th. We don't have a workshop that day at all, correct? I don't know how long you want to allow for that, but I would say that we're going to need to allow for some time. We would have our consultants here to present the information and give you ample time to discuss it. So whether or not we say start that at 2 or 3, I would, hear the pleasure of the board.
I mean, is it going to take us 3 hours? I mean, you tell me.
It's a pretty deep
Okay, I mean, 2
discussion.
o'clock, I'm good with 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock? Got
Sure.
it.
Well,
For an impact,
I got a question.
impact fee workshop, the last one we had didn't take us about
This one's
an
going
hour.
to take
This
longer.
is going to take a
I'm
while.
telling
Are they presenting their findings, or are we having a discussion before they present
Yeah, what
findings?
That's a good question, Clarence.
I think the conversation we had at our last meeting with the community members was that we wanted to have some discussion before we had any final report in writing.
I think that would be a very
That's
good
a great
idea.
idea.
In that case, I think that a longer discussion rather than shorter may be, just on my part. I could take
No,
it.
2 o'clock's good. I mean, if you think 3 hours is enough, I'm
I'll
good.
put it on the calendar, so it's official now.
Well, let me get this straight. We're not going to be discussing any study results. We're just going to be discussing impact fees.
No, we will be discussing the results of their study, but they won't have a formal report in writing to hand out, if that's your preference.
They won't have an executive summary?
They'll be reflecting the data that they have found,
I don't know why.
and then give the board opportunity to give them direction for the final results of the study.
Members of the board, one of the things we did one of the things we did at the compact fee meeting was to convey very importantly, to build that bond of trust, that we did not want any recommendation from the consultants until the community had the opportunity to dialogue regarding the results and have all that input and thought process, so that whatever came out at the end, because I think you know I brought this up at the meeting, if you come with a recommendation and then present it to these community members, the position is it's a foregone conclusion and you never get it changed. And so Dr. Pace said, no, we're going to get the data and we're going to sit down, we're going to talk about the data before we come up with final
Please.
recommendations.
The only other thing I would ask, Chairman Soto, is if the board would like to schedule a legislative issues workshop. We do have a meeting with our OLA board tomorrow, so we'll begin some discussion with that. Committees are supposed to begin meeting in Tallahassee in September.
Did they move to January again this time?
Yes, they have moved the session to January, so I don't know if you want to also potentially consider having a workshop, say, that same morning. I could have our lobbyists here or not. That is entirely up to the will of the board. But at some point in time, I will need direction from you as a board for our OLA
When do you need it?
priorities.
During the same meeting? September 8th? Different meeting.
I would suggest doing something potentially the same day, if you'd like, maybe start at noon or 1 o'clock.
Sure.
Sure.
Start at 1 o'clock, do that, and then follow it with the impact fee.
Start at noon?
No.
We're going to be here long, that's going to be.
Start
long.
at 1 p.m.
I think we start at noon, just
We
let's
say we start at 1 p.m., right?
Yeah, Tanya, you better start
1
cooking.
p.m.?
1 p.m.
Lots of cookies.
Okay. That will take us to
late lunch.
2:30.
Okay.
And then we begin at 3, we
So we're
begin the
starting
impact
at
fee.
noon until, there's no executive session that night yet, is there?
The impact fee will take us from 3
And
to
we will
5.
not approve one
If
at
we
this
cannot
time.
get this done in 2 hours, then we're doing something wrong with it.
Okay, I will schedule our lobbyists to be here as well, as long as we're
Great.
willing to do that. Okay.
1 to 3 and 3 to 5, that's what you said?
Starting at 1 until, God knows.
1 to 3 and 3 to 5?
No, 1 to 2:30.
No, noon to
And then I
2.
felt like maybe that half hour.
Okay, 1 to 2:30.
Legislative
Why don't we put
priorities.
them in the same block on the same agenda so we don't get done in 30 minutes and then have to sit here for an hour and a
Yeah,
half? Start
yes,
with that.
just start at 1.
Okay?
And then you can take a recess when you'd
There you
like.
go.
Yep, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Yeah, you
All
never
right,
know.
give Mr. Weiss.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, wait, attorney.
Yes,
You have your
just
light
Dr. Pace just triggered something. You all are aware of the Castaldi issue we are going through. We spent considerable time today dealing with it and attempting to deal with forces that could influence DOE. That said, you may get a call from Dr. Pace and me in the next week saying, we now need you to weigh in and call the local legislative delegation
Sure.
members, because this issue's, it's really a wrong issue. It's adversely impacting everyone, but it's really adversely impacting us and our ability to move forward. So,
What happens if we ignore the DOE?
Yes.
What's the penalty?
Mr. Clinch and I had that. I did that one time.
How long
Many years
ago?
And many years ago, and
He loves
the
it.
problem is, some of those people up there are vindictive enough to attempt to impact what would come down. So I can tell you right now, the state board chair today immediately got the issue and said if they want to change their approach, get everybody through and then change it, but don't hold people up. So, in fact, there's a note here, she's expecting a call from Dr. Pace. We've got people moving on all different angles on this, but it may be we want to also rattle the governor because he controls that ultimately.
How does the DOE even have a dog in the hunt if we have a legitimate
Here-
Castaldi report?
Here is their argument.
Methodology.
Oh, no, their argument is that somehow all of these buildings were built with dollars that the state gave everyone, and therefore they have to be guardians over the districts. And bureaucrats up there, and I use that term because they have become a bureaucracy, literally get the data, and now they're talking about going from a 30-year.
From 50 to 30 years as the
Yeah.
general rule.
So they're talking about modifying the years, everything.
excuse me, vice
So we're
versa.
caught in a bureaucracy where people don't understand time is money.
Our taxpayers pay
Right,
money,
and so
voted to pay
all
money.
We got kids in school.
Yeah, I'm bringing it up. Dr. Pace is
Our
all over
kids.
this. We're pushing hard, but there may come a point where we need you to get involved.
Just call me.
All right,
Thank
so,
you for-
Mr. Weissier.
Thank you. With regards to the conversation with the impact fee study, is there going to be information provided to the board in advance? And I don't mean the formal report. I understand that answer already. But are community members going to be coming in more informed and the board has already been versed on what's happening? I want to make sure that we understand what the intent of the workshop is, what the format's going to look like, and making sure we all understand what's taken place up to this point leading into this workshop. And we have community members coming in to talk to us about what their opinions are before we've had an opportunity to begin to think through our own.
So what information is going to be available prior to this workshop?
If you guys want to give me some direction on what you want, I mean, we'll be happy to handle it however you want. I can meet with you one-on-one after we receive the initial results from the study. I could meet with you one-on-one to discuss them prior to the workshop.
Sure.
But I will assure you that we will not share anything with community members that the board has not seen as well.
So what will be available is going to be the results of the study. It's going to be compiled by the consultant, correct?
Correct.
The only thing that we're holding back is we're saying to the consultant, hold back on making a recommendation on these results, correct?
Correct.
All right, so we can have that report before the meeting,
We could
correct?
keep the report a confidential document until it's finalized.
I would like.
Finalized in what way? With the recommendation?
Yes.
All right, suppose that we want to see that report without the recommendation.
I think we could do that.
That doesn't, we need to see the recommended numbers, though, to kind of.
No. No recommendation. I think that this is kind of unique because this hasn't been done before since I've been.
I
This is-
understand.
Sarah and I will talk with the
Semantics,
consultant and
but-
follow back up with Mr. Kruppenbacher and the board in terms of what we can and cannot do here. But I assure you that we're not going to provide community members information that the board doesn't have access to.
Okay. I guess we're going to be talking a little bit more about this in the next item. So,
Let me just get, we'll go to Jay.
hold on.
I got a question on
Okay.
this.
Mr. Wheeler, brief?
Questions.
Okay.
Yeah, brief. At this workshop, are we anticipating allowing other people who are not district staff, board members, or consultants an opportunity to speak, or that comes later?
That's a board
Typically, we do not have public
Okay,
comment
that's
at
what I just wanna
workshops,
make- okay,
unless Mr. Kruppenbacher or Chairman Soto tell me differently.
Let's see. What I understood from the first meeting was that we were going to assure that everybody understood the data.
Okay. Okay, I
It was clearly out there in front of everybody so that it could be, questions could be arised about it, everything. And then you would go from the
Okay.
data to, okay, what is the proper conclusion to reach and what is the input from the different stakeholders, the community, the board, et cetera. And then we would be getting a final report with that, all of that information together.
Okay, I will say this, I'm not looking for a recommendation on this, but what I am looking for with whatever data I get, I would like some sort of an executive summary that maybe just explains the methodology or how the data was collected, or, I mean, I don't necessarily, I'm not looking for the final recommendation, but I'd like something other than just raw data, so I knew, I got some sense of how they got from A to B. That's all I got.
My question, it's now somewhere mid-July, I don't know what the date is, and we're talking about a workshop in September, which is 2 months from now. Should we, in the next week to 2 weeks, have a quick workshop with these people on methodology and have that discussion? To me, that may be a bigger piece of discussion on what their approach is and how they're doing it than what their final numbers and results are. Maybe we can head some of this off.
Yeah, and Mr. Thacker, the issue that I'm bringing forward, I think, kind of speaks to that a little bit. If we could go ahead and get to that, let me share with the board.
Let's go move on to
kind of my findings, and I think that'll lead to some discussion of where we're all going.
Okay. Board, we got two items for new business. Mr. Weissar has start day, tax holiday, and open house. However, we're on the topic of this impact fee study, so I'm going to go ahead and take the new business by Mr. Booth first.
So thank you for indulging me, Board. Last time we did our impact fee study, we had a lot of discussion at that point about the deed restriction on the homes and the resort rentals, and we talked a lot about that. I think that was the focus of our attention. Came to my attention, Dr. Pace was contacted as myself from a member of our county planning commission about and Ms. Blake knows this situation as well, about a new apartment complex that will be approved or was asking for approval from the planning commission. And our impact fee study, and the numbers we're required to give, said that the impact would be 79 students. And this gentleman challenged that, so he contacted us. So I got with Ms. Blake, we got the numbers. There is a apartment complex adjacent to where they want to build the new one. 421 units, has an impact of 415 students. There is a request to build 300 more of essentially the same exact apartments right next to the existing 420 units. And our impact fee study is telling the Planning Commission that it's 79 students. That's not correct. We cannot take information to our Planning Commission, to our county commissioners, or our city councilmen, and tell them that there's going to be a 300 unit apartment, and it's only going to bring an impact of 79 students. I mean, if you look at the raw data, it's going to bring 300 students, and we know that, but for some reason we're not allowed to tell them that. And I take issue with that, and I think that's why, Mr. Chairman, I was nudging you a little bit to push you to here, because this is why I want to have a discussion with Tyndall Oliver about how we generate these numbers, how many different numbers we generate, because there are different impacts. I mean, I think, and Ms. Blake, correct me if I'm wrong, we've got some 4 and 5 bedroom houses going out in Poinciana, 300 or 400 of them, and we're talking about a 200 or 300 student impacts. We know better than that already. We know better than that already, and this is the information we're providing our county commission with. And I'm telling you, in my district especially, they are very fed up with this. Very, very fed up with this. They want us to make a change. They want our county commission to make a change. They want the city councils to make a change, so that we are not sitting here begging for money from the state because we can't keep up with school construction, and we can't keep up with road construction because we don't have the correct balance of homes in this community, from low income to high income. We do not have the right balance at this time. We just don't, and we can't afford to go down this road anymore. And I think it's time for this board and actually all of our community leaders to take a stand and say we're going to at least we're going to work with real numbers, and so we can say we're sticking it to ourselves. It's our own fault, instead of providing numbers that aren't real. So that's where I stand on this board. I'm excited to have this impact fee study discussion, and I want to make sure that the numbers that we are required to provide to the Planning Commission, because it's not you guys' fault, it is the impact fee study, that those numbers are correct, and that those people are making those decisions knowing that there's going to be 300 more students there, not 79. Thank you. I'll get off my soapbox now.
Well stated, Mr. Booth.
No, that was good.
Clarence.
I think I must have had the same conversation with the same person you did. If not, it was another planning commissioner member that had the exact same concerns, because I've heard this story. That's what I was talking about, maybe meeting with these people early on about the methodology and talk about some of these things before they do this whole project. Something that's been kind of bothering me since we started this impact fee study, and I should have brought it up before, but I didn't, is we did an RFP to do this study, and we had one single reply, as my understanding, or response, and we picked that person because that's the only one we have. I don't know why we only had one. I'd really love to know why other people did not respond to this, because this is what a lot of people do. So the fact that there was not much interest leaves me suspect, and it also makes me wonder, is the person we selected, the only one to reply, feeling a little bit of a pass and they can do what they want, a little flippantly, and I don't know. I shouldn't say that about them, but it just makes me suspect.
Chairman Soto, we would be happy, Sarah and I, to work with our Tyndale Oliver folks and have them come and present to the board and in a workshop fashion the methodology that they have prepared or that they have outlined with the community stakeholder committee that we had, and then take input from the board before they even move forward. That would give us, if we did it on either August the 1st or August the 15th, we'd have to depend on their availability, and obviously Mr. Wheeler would prefer the 15th. We have a facilities workshop at 4, but we could start at 2 on the 15th and allow them to share with you, and then you provide input to the board before we then come back in September after they've had a chance to use the input from the board to gather additional data before we workshop this information again, if that's what the board would like. And again, we did completely publicly put out that RFP, seek other vendors, and we did only have one respondent.
We could do this at a workshop or board. You can meet individually with the consultant and, give you an opportunity where you can.
I can do that, but I would rather the board hear what my feedback is as opposed to me.
All right.
I've been through a lot of these things. The one way these things go south is if there's not clarity and transparency. And all of you talking as a group are going to generate thoughts and ideas, so I strongly support what Dr. Pace said in the request of Commissioner Thacker to make this really work right and be defensible, have the workshop.
That's fine. The only reason I made my suggestions because we're dealing with a study, and it really shouldn't change depending on what we say. A study is a study. There's a methodology. I could meet with them in private and they'll tell me, and it should be the same thing for everyone else. We could do that as a workshop. Mr. Wheeler, I think your light is up next.
I'll be brief. I've been through this many, many times also, and the one thing that, first off, no matter what you come up with, there's going to be somebody unhappy. I mean, that's a given. But really, what I think that we need to maybe be talking to the HBA or the Planning Commission, and just say, look, because what's going to happen is they're going to see, whoever sees it, they're going to, oh, no, this is wrong. That's going to happen. So then they're going to say, well, we want to do our own study. So the point I want to make is, if this is a path somebody wants to go, and nobody's ever done their own study alternative. I've seen some consultants come up and, who were paid, given a dog and pony show for their clients, or get paid by the hour. But the point I want to make is, if there is another entity, the HBA, Developers Association, Planners Association, Civil Engineering Association, whoever it is, I don't know who it is, and they are serious about an alternative study, they need to be doing it now. They don't need to wait for ours and then do something. So I'm not encouraging it, I'm not inviting it, but I'm also not going to suggest that if they feel strongly enough about it, don't wait for, if you're listening, don't wait for ours. Now is the time, because all of our data is public record, not necessarily what our current consultant is doing. They're digging through stuff, but all the data they've got to go through, it's all from the counties, from the city, from the school district, et cetera. So if there is going to be an alternative study that somebody thinks needs to be done, whoever's listening to this, whoever wants to hear this, do it now. We don't want to have our workshop on the 19th, and if something presented in October, and then, no, this is wrong, we got to do our own study, we're not going to wait another 90 to 180 days after that. If we feel as a board that we're on the right track and that we feel like we are doing what's right financially and in a fiduciary manner for our responsibilities to keep up with growth.
All right, thanks, Mr. Wheeler. Mr. Weissier.
Thank you, Chairman. If it's going to be on the 15th, I may have a schedule conflict to be available all that day, just so you guys know. I have state meetings going on that same week, so if you guys are looking at August 15th, that may be a challenge for me. I can have Karen get with Tanya and sort all that out, but just so you know, I'm looking at my schedule, and I do have a concern. Jay, I agree with everything you said about approach and everything. I guess I'll yield on this. I'll share my. I'll have the conversation while we get together on it. Enough's been said about it.
Mr. Thacker?
I think I hate to wait till the 15th. Jay, I know you're not here. I don't know when you're leaving. We keep trying to do workshops on the Tuesday. This is something we could have an hour workshop.
I can do
prior to when Jay. When do you
July
leave?
27th.
Is that time enough to advertise if we could get them here? that would work for?
July 27th, I have a meeting with Mr. Clinch in the morning. Anything on the 27th.
I don't want to keep beating a dead horse either. My only thing is, the last time we did this was right after I got on the board, and the first thing we did is they presented a report, and within an hour, we've got a whole different category they didn't look at, and it would be nice to know what their approach is and how they're looking at categories as an overall. I'm not asking for results, we're trying to say what the results are. That's,
I can't do the
27th?
No, I can't either.
You cannot?
Not on the 27th.
Okay, that, it would be a hard day for me.
I mean,
Yeah, I can't do
the 28th, you guys are off. I'm out of town.
But we have our administrator welcome back that day. What about Tuesday, the 25th?
I'm out of town.
I can't do lunch on that day, but
I can't do any, the only days I got, the 27th, 28th that week's all I can do. I'm out of town. And then I don't get
well, if
back.
it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That was just.
And then I get back in town August 6th. I could probably do, the 8th or 9th of August? Or the 10th? 10th's first day of school. The 8th or 9th, or the 11th?
I mean,
I
another.
can do those as long as we're done, the 8th or 9th, as long as we're done by 4 o'clock. And I'm assuming Dr. Pace might need to be done with it.
I can,
Dr. Pace works at the pleasure of the board, Mr. Booth.
Well, those are the open houses.
Right.
Yeah. And I have a middle school and an elementary school.
So would you like to do, I could do potentially 10 o'clock on the 8th?
Sure.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Can we do like after lunch on the 8th or the 9th?
What about the 9th
9th is good.
I could do the 9th,
in the afternoon,
yes?
What time?
or even noon?
Noon's great.
1?
Noon, 1 o'clock would be great on the 9th.
I got a meeting at 5, but I could do noon.
All right, we will try 12 o'clock on August the 9th,
Okay.
okay? If
Yep.
If we can't make that work with our consultant, we'll let you know, but we'll do our best to make sure that she's here. Yes,
Oh, you said noon, right?
yes,
I got you down.
9th, August 9th, okay.
Noon.
okay.
I should be okay on time then.
So that cancels the 15th one, or this is a precursor to the 15th?
I don't know.
I would say then we wouldn't need one on the 15th, but let's hold the date on the
We do
19th.
need
Let's just
something on the 15th for
Yeah, we got the other issue.
what was the other issue on the 15th that we added?
okay.
It made it a longer workshop.
No, that's on the 19th of September.
Okay, the 19th.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I would hold the date in September.
Yeah, let's do this first, and then
Let's,
So this is a free to that.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I got noon on the 9th. We want to meet here, right?
noon on the 9th,
Here.
here.
Got it.
And just so you guys are, Jay and Kelvin, we have a
Yeah, legislative update.
we have a Four Corners board meeting on the 15th also.
Well, if we need to modify that schedule. Yeah, I get it, Okay, thank you, board.
We have, on the 15th, we have, I don't know why I have board workshop as well.
Sorry.
I don't have a 15th board workshop.
Could have just,
And you'll just add it all to our calendar.
We don't have the meeting on the 5th, right? Is that canceled, or do we have a meeting?
Good for what?
September.
so,
Pam's trying to already go.
All right.
Board. yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm good.
All right,
Thank
board.
you for indulging me, board. I appreciate that.
Board, we come upon the last item for today's board meeting. That is new business, as requested by Mr. Weissire. Start day, tax holiday, and open house.
Board, I'd like to tell you I'm going to be quick, but I've put together some presentation and packet information for you guys.
Motion to adjourn.
Right, second.
It will be fast. I was grabbing that. Clarence was like, "That's my budget. What are you doing?" I'm like, "I just need it for my joke."
Oh, bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah. I just wanted to make you guys aware, and I had a good conversation with Mr. Phelps, and very briefly in passing with the superintendent before I came in. I was contacted by a constituent. It's a legitimate concern, and I just bring it up. I don't see how we address it, but I think it's important that the board is aware of it, and that we do take into consideration how we map some of these things out. The short version of it is, the concern raised by a constituent of ours is that the school start date the open house dates and that the tax holiday, sales tax holiday, all don't align in the right order for their benefit, and that they don't necessarily have the opportunity to buy the specific items for their students in their specific classrooms. They have the school list and things like that, but maybe not. It's like the 4th through the 6th, is that what we said? August 4th through the 6th. And so the superintendent, in her infinite wisdom in just passing, said, well, then, we just need to advertise what specific needs. I'm paraphrasing what you said, but we need to advertise the specific needs in the classroom. So I share this because I know that it is, it is a concern for at least a small group of parents. It's probably concern for more. I know the heart of this board, and I know that we want to do everything we can. I was talking to Ms. Phelps, and I said, well, the simple fact of it is there's just no way to work around this mechanically. We can't do it. But I think maybe the outcome becomes is that we just try to work a little bit in advance to try to communicate as early as possible specific needs, get those posted, and then do a good job from a public relations standpoint of getting the word out that, hey, these things are available, utilize a tax holiday, even though your open house is going to have to happen after the fact. So because I was dealing with it, I wanted to bring it up to the board. I thought you guys may run into the same situation in the next couple of weeks. And I didn't either until 4 hours ago before I walked in here. So
Keep in mind that the tax holiday is established in the legislative session. We have to announce our calendar well in advance, and we align with the statute. But I will work with Dana and Heather and our whole team on their social media efforts to communicate to parents, and we'll also follow up with schools about school supply lists to make sure that those things are published on the website. And I will tell you that we have requested that principals work with their staff members to keep school supply lists to a minimum. There's no need for us to have 20 items on a school supply list for every classroom.
I was just going to say, I mean, I'm putting my third one through elementary school. Now, normally I would say I don't buy all this stuff, but my wife is in the audience tonight, so if I was the one to say that I ever went and bought any school supplies for my kids. But hey, if you don't know that you need Kleenex, hand sanitizer, colored pencils, and crayons for your kindergartner,
and 4,000 highlighters.
Yeah, 4,000.
I mean, no, but in fairness, part of the reason you've got those lists the way it is because there's a number of families that just don't have the resources to do that. So, I've had people complain to me, I don't like buying for somebody else, and I tell them, you'd rather be on the giving end than the receiving end. And so, I have bought a lot of stuff that I thought was a little bit extraneous, but I recognized there were other kids in the classroom who just couldn't do it. So Dr. Pace, while you want to keep those lists to a minimum, I disagree. I think you do it because of that. There's some families that they're never going to come right out and say, gee, I really can't afford this or that. There are a lot of families who are lucky that they can, and I think that that's part of it. And I'm not trying to be a charity necessarily, but if we can help these families, like I said, I'd rather be on the giving end than the receiving end.
Go ahead.
I'm done.
Go ahead, Mr. Booth. No, I'm just
I jumped in and said my part.
All right.
I didn't even need you, Mr. Chairman.
Come on. Any further discussion on school supplies, things like that? No?
No.
All right. So I don't think there's anything else left in our agenda, board. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
You got it.
All right, then.
Unanimous consent.
We're adjourned.
Sure. Thank you.